Oh, a bit of
super
froth
frothy.
there.
Bit frothy.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
I was choked on it. Hello and welcome to On the Esky. Hi, Sean Dice here on live on Moke.
Good start there. Yeah.
Bit of a mess. Full table again. We've got Macca on my right. I got Peps and Monkey on my left. My name is Sean, of course. This is a sports podcast, and we're going to take a full show. We're going to take a deep dive. We're going to have a look at the NRL and have a look at why there's so many injuries that have been in preseason. We're going to have a look at the NBA and the tight playoff race with nearly all the teams still in the contention for that. We're going to have a talk about the tennis and about how crowds are kind of affected the last 5 days, and then a bit of a look at the medical timeouts and see how that's been affecting matches. And then how good is it to have Shield cricket back?
Big time. Big time.
Answer that with the big very.
Us boys on the Esky, we did commit a few weeks ago to be real champions of Sheffield Shield cricket.
Oh, it's been great too.
Everyone loves to talk about who should be playing for Australia. Not too many people these days really get intricately involved in the Sheffield Shield. So we're going to commit to following each game intently, see who's making runs, who's taking polls, and who should be putting their hand up for Aussie selection.
Love it.
What are we going to get started with today, boys?
I think we get started in the big one in the cricket, and that's the India versus England second tests. And we'll take a pretty good look at, who has the upper hand now in the series after to spoilers, they go 1-1.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, so India tore it up 1 apiece after really getting...
spinning to win it.
Yeah, really getting poleaxed in that first test at Chennai.
Yeah, full bounce back, that one.
Yeah, big time. And a big turnaround. I do seem to recall last week we were handing out a few predictions. I said India would bounce back.
Yep.
They did. Very different teams in this. I think there was
from both sides,
seven changes between the two sides. Macca, do you want to run us through a little bit?
Yeah,
what
we'll start
there?
with the visitors, England. They swapped 500 wickets, or 600 wickets for Jimmy Anderson with 500 wickets for Stuart Broad. I thought that was an interesting one, especially the way Anderson had them hooping. We were talking about foot on the throat. You'd think Anderson, Didn't
we think they'd bring Broad in for someone else?
Yeah, well, for Archer, who hurt his hand, and they brought in Ollie Stone, who also bowls wheels.
He's really good. I was having a look at his action today. So clean.
Yeah. Not the deck for him, unfortunately. We'll get into that a bit more, but he's got a bright future. Keeper swap for the Pommies with Butler being rested for Ben Folkes, who I thought had a really tidy game. Behind the stumps, especially on that spinning wicket. And offie Bess out for Moeen Ali, who also has been shrouded in a bit of controversy, if you would, over the past couple of days. For the home team, Washington Sundar has to be one of the most filthy people in the world. Dropped after making 80-odd. I think would have been 3 tests, 4. When did he come in for the Aussies series? 3 or 4 games, not too much.
He's not too many.
Kuldeep Yadav in for him.
It's 3 tests, isn't it? Did he play?
I think 2 plus the first.
Yeah, no, he would have played the first one in this, and he played 2 in Australia.
He's only played 2, I think. I think he
played
the last.
Anyway, not
the
many.
last one in Australia, and this one here. I think he's played 2.
He was out also with Nadeem, and Jasper Bumrah was rested. Mohammad Siraj came in to watch a bit of cricket for a couple of days.
Roll the arm over for 6 overs or something.
And Axar Patel, who made his debut, and he had quite a great test match, especially that 4th innings. He took a bit of the shine from Ravi Ashwin. I think people were going to think he was going to have a 10 for, but Axar had different ideas. So, like you said, 7 changes. When a team wins so dominantly as England do, you think the other team would have more changes, but England were actually the one that sort of flipped half the team. But
let's talk about, there's the resting/rotation policy that England seem to have going, because that makes sense with, Jimmy Anderson. He's a really old man, so they've been playing Test cricket for the better part of the last 2 months. So probably want to give him a little bit of a break and rest those old weary legs and arms. But still, you'd think, this is a premier series for them.
Absolutely,
You'd want your best 11 you could have out there, especially with you lose Archer, that you'd think you'd want Anderson Broad. But maybe they took one look at this pitch and thought, it's probably not going to be Jimmy Anderson's day.
True. Couldn't be. Yeah, maybe they honestly might have looked at the deck and gone, we're going to be doing very well to win this with the spinners they have. do we just try and blood some youth, or do they stick strong? They said we're going to do this rotation policy, and it doesn't matter if we win. I just thought going 1-0 up in India, if you win one more game out of the next 3, like you can't lose the series. So why not get on top of it straight away, especially with all the momentum? You know India are going to be chopping and changing. I thought it bizarre, but they must just be sticking to their guns. The only forced change there was Jofra, but again, on a deck like that, is Jofra, he's not going to be really scaring you with the short ball. The ball wasn't, bouncing above waist high for the quick. So,
then would you say, would you have both Bess and Ali in the team if you've looked at that deck in the morning and gone, oh, this is going to spin?
They've got Jack Leach as well, so would they go 3 spinners? Or India, I suppose, picks
I
3
think
spinners.
Bess and Ali, the way they bowl, they're both quite similar. Off spinners, they're not. Ashwin, we know what he does with his hands, but Jack Leach, obviously left arm orthodox. If you've got a spinner from each end and they're spinning in opposite directions, that's ideal. If you're going to have someone, Ali, you take Ali off the bowl, you put Bess in, it's just effectively the same bowler. So, I mean, again, I'm not a selector for England. I'm not involved in their policy. They thought this was what was best, and they got pants for it. But, I mean, the pitch was a big talking point. I think people thought, some people early, I know I saw Michael Vaughan on Twitter saying this is unplayable, unacceptable for Test cricket. We can't absolutely can't be playing on this. How dare you?
Well, I don't think Warney then came and said, well, India batted on day 1 and it seemed all right for them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Spinners sticking up for spinners.
No shocks there. But we talked about predictions a bit earlier. I think last week I was thinking for some of the changes of the team. I thought Rohit Sharma could use a bit of time out, and he told me to fuck off and hit a casual 160 on an absolute turning deck where no one could see it. So shout out to you, Rohit. I'm glad I got to fire you up. And,
they must be listening. You said something else about another Indian, do you remember?
Yeah, Mr. Pant behind the stumps. I said he couldn't catch a ball to save himself, and he was flying around left to right like he had a trampoline. So we fired up the West Indies team a couple of weeks ago. I've fired up a couple of the Indians. Now I need to get on the Aussies a bit more, I think, to fire them up. Maybe
there can only be one conclusion, and that is these test teams must be listening to our podcast and going, fuck these guys, we're gonna go out and score 160 or
show these guys,
take some screamers left, right, make diving stumpings.
Absolutely. So Rohit or Rishbar, please give us a shout out on any of your socials. That'd be great. Get a bit of a following. It'd be good.
Washington 2 test match.
2, yeah.
So what'd you say? 170 runs.
Yeah. So in those 2 tests, because he had that 70 odd against us.
Yep.
And then he had 85, I think, in the first.
Yeah.
So with the bat, he's averaging 56 through 2 tests, batting 7, which is unreal. I suppose the counter argument and what the Indian selectors were thinking, we're picking him to be a spinner. He's not getting picked on his batting. And in those 2 tests, he's got 4 wickets at 67. So I suppose that was the thinking.
Yeah. The bloke they brought in.
Yeah,
Akshar came in and went ham, and they brought in Kuldeep, who had a reasonable game. Nothing.
See, there you go. There's your third spinner, left arm wrist. So they've got 3 different types of spinners.
Yeah.
And again, Kuldeep didn't do too much. He didn't have to because the other 2 offies were absolutely
the
destroying Pommies. Run us through it, Peps.
Before you do that, I just wanted to finish up on this. We talked about England chopping and changing. I just want to finish up the point of India being able to make changes to their side, because we've talked all summer about Australia. They've got 11 and that's about it. And you can see India, like even someone like Washington, who's done well with the bat, they've gone, well, we lost. You're meant to be a bowler. We're going to change it, and we're going to make changes, and then bring in really strong talent that can then roll over a team like England and put them to the sword a week after they just had the opposite happen to them.
We have spoken about it before on the Esky, is that the depth of the Indian team at the moment in all formats is unprecedented.
Yeah.
The ability to just go, we can pick 3, 4, 5, 6 spinners that can be elite at test level is unreal.
As well as, Jasper Brummer wasn't in this game, and we think of him as one of the, 2 or 3 best quicks in the world at the moment.
Yes, so. I think he was sore. I don't think it was just a rotation kind of thing. I think it was a forced move. However,
again, he doesn't play, and they get 20 wickets. Yeah. Like if you can now add Jasper Brummer to that. Yes, granted it's a spinning deck. I wouldn't want to Jasper Brummer bowling that. Yeah, he doesn't matter what surface. He could get you out on glass. So. Run us through the game,
Peppy.
Pep.
Yeah, so as aforementioned, Rohit Sharma, he must have listened to us bagging him, saying he shouldn't be a test cricketer. Obviously, one of the most accomplished ODI cricketers of all time. Goes out and scores 161. Did you see him early on? He was scoring about a run a ball for his first 50. Just sort of brought it back a little bit as some guys were falling around him. He didn't make 329. You look at that. Obviously, in hindsight, you think that's an excellent score on this deck.
Yeah.
At the time, I was thinking,
it's solid.
Well, I was thinking England scored 500 at this same ground last week. I thought maybe that was a little bit unders. Boy, was I wrong. Jinka Rahane, he came out after his one run, two knocks, did get a few nuts in the first test. He had 67, and that man, Rishabh Pant, he had a quick 558. I think he should be India's keeper for the next 10 years.
He's in good nick. He's with the bat. He is
unreal. And just
gets after it.
Hits the ball so cleanly, and he could be one of those. He could be a Kohli type where it's just 3 formats, pick and stick, doesn't matter. He's the guy. Moeen Ali seemed to be a reasonable inclusion in this. He went for a bit, but he got 4 poles for 128. And that Ollie Stone that we mentioned, I think he's only in about his. Can we have a little look at Ollie Stone?
Early 20s, I think. Ollie,
he'd be under 10 tests. I think he had 3 for 47. Yeah. Like we said, a really nice, clean action. Pushes the high 140s. Probably not a real paceman's deck. But I would hate to be facing him in an overcast, Headingley type green deck. I think he'll have a bright future ahead of him. Kohli, he out for a duck. There was
absolute pitch though.
Reasonable ball there from Moeen Ali. Kohli has not scored a international 100 for 34 innings.
It's something like 460 days or something.
Yeah, it's a long time.
In saying that, he batted well in the second innings. We'll get to that. He's
getting scores. He's
getting scores, but he's not getting tons. He had a couple. He didn't play here.
Guys are getting out around him. So
he didn't play here because of the birth of his child. You can't discount Virat Kohli, but year and a half, about nearly a year and a half since he's raised his bat and taken his hat off. So
November 19 was the last time against Bangladesh. So he's had 12 test innings since then. No tons. He does.
Kohli out, perhaps. Drop Kohli. Let's make that the headline.
There's a few comments on it.
Was a comment or two?
He does nothing for us as captaincy, and he's not hitting runs. Get rid of him.
Very bold.
And I was like, she's Kohli, mate. He's
Depth's all right,
he's still third or fourth in the world.
He is one of the best cricketers of all time. I probably wouldn't be dropping you anytime soon.
No, not at all.
You know what this is? This is exactly the same kind of chat that was getting thrown around Steve Smith.
Wins the AB medal.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit more noise than news. I think in that time as well, he does have 950, so he's been doing his job.
Yeah, well, he got 72 in the last one, and he was not out, I think, in that, because everyone else got out around him.
Possibly.
He was the last one there.
Second innings stats there. Have you got Ollie Stone there as well?
Yeah, so 2 test matches.
Age?
Yeah. So he's 27.
Oh, okay.
So he's
probably
cricket young.
Yeah.
Cricket young, yeah.
Probably been around the county system a fair bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But look at Mark Wood can't get in there. Like, you've obviously got Broad and Anderson on the back end, so they're not going to lose
Chris
much.
Wokes, he's pretty handy.
Yeah. Joffre, like there, England.
Yeah, they got
Did you want to talk about depth?
Fast bowling stock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see Kohli when he got out? He didn't want to walk. When he got bowled by Ali. Because
he wasn't sure, because he got
hit the stumps.
Yeah, he got complete. I think he thought maybe had come off Pants, but like his gloves, like it ricocheted and then topped the bowls off.
Folks' gloves.
Folks, sorry. Yeah,
if it counts pants gloves, he'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
This is the same as what were you saying last week?
Kelsey instead of Gronk. Yeah. Get him back to front. But the English wicketkeeper had knocked the bails off. So there was thoughts that he might look at trying to review it with the DRS. But they were like...
Tough look when you don't walk when you get bowled.
Yeah, and get an absolute peach. You're just like, what the fuck's just happened to me?
You know what?
He couldn't believe it.
It's very encouraging, because you play park cricket, you're never out.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You have to hit the bottom of the middle. It's the keeper must.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That stump gets removed from the ground. Man, I want to see it.
And it's nice to see that the same sparks between the brain and the actions of a human are the same between me and the captain of captain of India. Fucking catching your decision.
Yeah, exactly. It's spreading.
It's so funny to see. I wasn't out. What I got middle to middle? Nah.
No, not walking.
Have a look at the TV.
That's it. So in the first innings, Coley got 11 off 48, and then
the second,
72 off 104.
Not out.
No, I think he got out.
I think he got out too.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the first.
Yeah, got bowled by Stokes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Run us through England's first innings.
Skittled, really.
Yeah. Went straight through them.
134. This was when the deck started looking
real turny,
very nasty. There was a lot of turn. Obviously, I think
a lot of bounce.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
The bounce, I think, was just about more deadly than the turn. There's guys trying to get on that front foot, and just really smother the ball, and it's bouncing a foot away from their bat and just going.
Yeah.
And you saw sometimes punt was taking, a half volley off the spinners.
Yeah.
Up here, I think that's more devastating sometimes than the lateral.
Oh,
movement.
absolutely right. And they had numbers around the bat. There was always a leg slip or a leg, a short leg. The slips were involved. And Ravi Ashwin, his great talent is the bounce he gets. He's quite tall. He gets that natural bounce anyway. So like Pep said, I saw a couple of times. Pommies would come down for a front foot or a sweep, and they'd wear one in the grill. Happened a couple times. So that you're clearly not picking the ball up. You're just going to get out. There were a couple of sharp catches at short leg.
Didn't Root top one as well.
Yeah,
like trying to do a sweep and it just popped up. Like
if you can't sweep in India, then if you can't, that's how. Matty Hayden used to always say that's how you play the spin in India. If you can't sweep, then you've got you're batting for time, which Ben Folkes did
biggest
quite.
Weapon taken away from you.
Ben Folkes was the only one to really put up a fight there. He actually was sort of gritty, real gritty. Hung in there,
and he had 42. Not Ravi Ashwin 5 for 43. Opened the bowling in this, so the Indians knew straight away that there's going to be a little.
Just tell
toss him the new ball. Good luck.
Yeah, a little bit of turn in this.
Yeah, and even with the newer ball, with the seam so pronounced, that helps that bounce. Like you think of a quick hit in the seam and it moving. Well, the principle with the spinner is exactly the same. But instead of just, doing a little bit off there to get you an edge, it's, moving 2 meters. So.
Yeah. How about the Indians in the field for a change?
Yeah.
Considering they
weren't. It was good of them to show up.
Yeah, it wasn't real great, the Australian series, their fielding, but they've definitely got a lot better playing back in India.
It's definitely something that we've spoken about before, and we were speaking about it, even after they beat us down here 2-1 a few months ago, is that if India start fielding at an elite level,
just keep adding it to the list.
Australian or South African teams of the past, go just about close to being unbeatable. It's probably been one of the points where they may have been a little bit lackluster in the game.
It's a point of difference for, say, the other
absolutely
team, like the Australian teams as an example.
Catches win matches.
And it's been over a period of time. It's a weird thing for a country that's so in love with cricket and devoted to it. Like, they're just the simple fielding mistakes. But that wasn't
the batting and they love bowling.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to field. It's the old backyard treatment.
Did not show in this second test here in Chennai because the fielding was absolutely immaculate. Obviously, we've spoken about Rishabh Pant. He's listening to the podcast. He's saying these 4 Aussie idiots that sit around drinking beers and knocking my keeping. He took some absolute screamers, left hand, right hand.
With the spinners, I think his big thing was he struggles against the spinners, like with catches and stumpings, even buys, but he was on the money. I don't think there were even any extras in the innings, which tells you a bit, From
what I saw, he did not have any dramas with the spinners. And in a deck that had a few landmines in it, he looked really good. Rahane had a really nice catch there, coming forward at slip, like sort of one of those ones where your arms... his elbows hits the ground before the ball's there and managed to contain the ball. Couldn't fault the Indians in the field in this one. A little interesting point here. Mohammad Siraj comes in, obviously, for Jasprit Bumrah.
Yep.
He didn't get the ball till the 38th over, picked as a strike bowler. And he also got... a pole first ball.
I've been staying in the field for bloody a session and a half.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a rank wicket.
It was mud.
It was shit gets wickets personified. It was a hip height, down leg side, should have been pulled for 6 probably. And I forget who the batsman was, but just got a little bit of an inside edge and punt.
That was the catch.
Going, horizontal to his left, stuck it, in the little
Was
webbing.
it Stokes?
No, it was a righty.
Can you have a look at Siraj's first wicket? There was a right-hander.
Yeah, Ollie Pope.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
he was just sort of looking to just sort of play it down to fine leg, got a little bit thin, and then Parner's taken an absolute screamer off that. So, Siraj,
there you go.
Patience.
There you go.
He's sat out and he's fielded as a strike bowler for 37 overs.
King Coley, what a captain.
He gets the rock. Captain's call, 38th over. Let's bring on our strike bowler for his first ball, and he gets one with an absolute rank.
What do you think?
I think he was out 2 overs late. I think 2 overs late, like, you've had enough.
Yeah. He bowled 5 overs in that first inning. I think he bowled 5 overs.
What do you think the chat was? Did Coley just go to him and go, mate, Ashwin just needs a break for a couple overs?
I think that was probably...
Honestly, you talk about spelling the quicks. You're bowling a spinner.
Well, Ravi probably had bowled 15 straight at that stage, and they were probably like, yep, you need a break. Let's spell in our quick strike bowler to come in for a lazy 5.
So then he bowled, 10 of the 58 overs?
Yeah, so between Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Siraj, they bowled 10 overs out of 58, I think 5 apiece. It's so different over there, isn't it? To think of that ever happening down under, it is the other side of the world, and I guess the cricket reflects that.
I was thinking, and this is a bit off script here, but if we were to go to India right now and on that deck, who are the 3 spinners we pick?
That's a great question.
Obviously,
Lyon gets a gig.
Take the goat.
You'd probably want a leg spinner.
Swepson, I guess, is there.
But his Shield record is
Pooey,
underwhelming. Probably a better Shield bowler than Zampa has been. Obviously, Zampa,
I think he's pretty much given up the red ball.
In the short form. And then, I don't know.
That's what I mean. John Holland? Is it John Holland or something like that?
Played well today in the Shield, the last few days in the Shield.
Do you take 2 specialists and then use someone like Labuschagne as your third to
Labuschagne and Smudge. You hope
but
that
some rank.
Pat Cummins can even bowl on that. Like this is what we're talking about India's depth. We've got a tour coming up to India not too far away. If it's like this, then I have...
we need
329 is absolute... We're cheering if we get 320.
And that's a great impromptu point that you bring up there, Mac, because I couldn't tell you with confidence who our best 3 spinners are at Test cricket.
Well, our best... If Swepson's our second best, then that's where we're at. Whereas even England, like Jack Leach is a very handy bowler. Yep. Obviously, your stats are going to be a bit enhanced on this deck. And you can talk about pitching conditions for so long, but it's so true. Like in cricket, what... pitch you play on is so important to the outcome of the game. That's why India winning here is huge. That's why England pantsing India in the first test is so big. That's why we love this game, because it's the intricacies that we love. So, a little bit off track, but
it's an interesting point.
Bring back Xavier Doherty.
Xavier.
Do you want to go through?
Play a test match, Xavier Doherty?
We had a couple datas. I think in India it was a similar situation.
Xavier Doherty.
Didn't they take Zampa over to Pakistan?
I think Zampa has played for Australia, but his red ball numbers are just
horrible.
I don't think it was great. Do you want to run through the second innings?
Yes. So India go out obviously with a lead of close to 200. They were just off enforcing that follow on. I think they're 195 lead. Yeah. Probably wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have thought.
They probably wanted to give Ashwin a break, but Ashwin had other ideas.
Indeed. I don't know in India if you'd ever want to enforce a follow-on.
No.
You don't want to be batting on a day 4, day 5 crumbling pitch there in Chennai or anywhere else in the subcontinent. So India go out there. They make a reasonably quick 286. I think this was close to 4 and over. Ravi Ashwin. 106,
your game, right?
Batting 8.
Sure, Pfeiffer.
We were talking about him last week, I think, about his batting.
Batting behind Sundar, so that's how high they thought of Sundar. But then Ravi said, "All right, I'll pick up slack."
He picked up his 5th Test ton, which is pretty unbelievable considering he's not. They don't consider him an all-rounder. He's picked on his bowling, and it just happens to be able to bat a fair bit.
Yeah.
Hadn't scored a ton since 2016. It was one of the old boys on the ABC radio that I was listening to our summer down under. I think if you split his Test career into like a first half and a second half with the bat. I think his first half he was averaging in the high 30s.
Yeah, right.
And then in his second half, it's like about 17. So he's obviously
Taylor two stories.
had put the bat away a little bit in the nets and focused more on his bowling.
Yeah.
Didn't matter here. Massive knock for them.
Well, I'll tell you, sorry, before we move off Ashwin's batting, 100 and a 5 in a game.
Who's done that? Botham?
He's done it 3 times.
Yeah. I think he's second behind, I think Ian Botham.
Botham's done it 6 or 7 times, which is wild. Like that's a great cricketer. I'd imagine Jacques Callis would be up there. But I just thought the other 2 were against the Windies, I think. But not to discredit who you're playing. I mean,
we'll get to that in a second.
Exactly right. But I mean, that's a very good cricketer. That's an all-round dominant.
Yeah, genuine all-rounder.
You'd be sick of him, wouldn't you? If you were the Pommies, like, oh, this guy's just ripped us, and now we got to chase the ball out.
Like, come on.
He had an unbelievable Test match. Obviously, named man of the match in this one. We were possibly thinking, could he have 110? 10. There's only a very few. I think maybe 3 people that have ever done that. I think both of them is one, and Shakib Al Hassan. Shout out to any Bangladeshis, I believe, has done that. So they make 286. Kohli has 62. Moeen Ali, justifying his selection, had another 4 here for 98. He ended up with 8 for 200 odd in the Test, and Jack Leach 4 for 100. Nothing to really write home about there from the English bowlers. So the target set was 482. That would have had to break all kinds of records.
They did not make 182.
They were never
482.
No,
they didn't even make 182.
They fell a little short of the 482. They were bowled out for 164. Akshar Patel 5 for 60, justifying his inclusion in this team.
It's his Michelle Pfeiffer. Yep.
It's interesting looking at these guys because we've spoken about Washington Sundar. We were talking about Shahbaz Nadeem in the last. There's obviously a breeding ground for these guys over there.
7 wickets on debut, like that's an amazing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to make Jimmy do this because we've got 200 years of cricket to look through. But I mean that's a great effort. It won't be an all record, but again, look at that.
Taking 5 for
you'd think he keeps his spot. However, we've been very wrong.
Well,
they want to select these.
They won this Test, so hopefully they'll stick with it.
Akshar Patel keeps his spot here, and then I think the most interesting and poignant point of this whole Test, the spinners took all 10 wickets in this England second innings,
and 32 of the 40.
Yeah.
Of the overs,
of the all wickets. There was one
across all the innings of the 40 wickets on available, spinners got 32.
And Root was run out, so the Quicks took 6 wickets. That's 7. No.
Yeah,
7. Sorry.
7.
Quick
a long day.
Quick math on the Esky.
It was a long math
on the Esky.
Long maths lesson for Mr. McGrath today. But
a short tangent here. I was speaking with your friend Simo. Shout out to Simo Van Meurs. If you're listening on the Esky today, talking about us teaching long division still to third graders. I think it's an absolute rort. Get rid of it. Never used it. You can just use a calculator for your quick math. Third graders, if you're listening, don't listen to Mr. Van Meurs about your long.
Ignore Mr. V. You don't need it.
Listen to on the Esky for all your sporting needs and fuck that long division off. There are something called calculators that have been invented.
Well said.
I wonder if we can figure out how to do some long division on the Esky. Just to fuck with it.
Let's not try.
Don't. That will take us a long time.
I think I got the best figures in an innings on debut.
Yep.
We've got Albert Trott back in 1895.
Oh, I remember that was good.
Trotty. He knew my great grandfather. Oh, Trotty.
That's it. 27 overs, 10 maidens, 43 runs, 8 wickets.
8 for 43.
8 for 43 debut, if you don't mind, at 1800.
Akshar's 5 for 60 is obviously a long way down, I'd imagine.
That's why Jimmy's the best in the business. He's all the way. He's digging through the archives.
He's quick. He's gone back 125 years.
So I think we'll finish up. We've got 1 or 2 more points to finish up the England and India series. Second Test match. So the next one's next weekend. So it's in 7 days.
Hyderabad, I think they go to for the last 2 tests there.
Similar.
Similar.
I wonder if it's going to be, because it was a whole new deck. This was a whole new pitch. Is it going to be the same thing? Are we going to have a worn down ground? I'm no curator, but I can't imagine having 2 Test matches so close together. It's good for the surface.
And I assume these boys aren't doing drop-in pitches either. So.
No, that's not the way.
No chance.
So they'd go. You'd have some, guys fielding in nice and close, running over the other wicket.
Crowds. I think the crowd was a massive part of this one as well. I mean,
no crowd in the first one and crowd in the second.
And I mean,
and it didn't seem to be any social distancing or corona rules.
It was get in there and get loud, and through Fox Cricket, shout out Fox Cricket. It was loud. It was, and I felt like I was watching cricket in India. Exactly right. Which again, nature is slowly healing, but that's a part of it as well. We're looking at the Australian Open. No crowds. We'll get into that a bit later. But you're facing Ravi Ashwin. You're trying to bat for a Test match. You've got 3 blokes standing around you. Now the noise is involved. Like this is international sport. This is the battle that we love to see. So.
Yeah, and you give your wicket away, and you get absolutely
you get yourself
fed for it.
Get off quickly because it's a lot. Yeah,
and if you've got the pads on and you're watching nervously, thinking if you're going to be out there, and your teammates just gotten out, and you hear that roar of the crowd, I think it does play into your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a massive advantage for the Indians, and it showed in this game.
Yeah, big time.
So let's talk about Moeen Ali. He's returning home, so he'll miss the next 2 tests in India.
Why is he going home?
We talked a little bit at the start about the England rotation policy, and it sounds like it's part of that kind of policy. Plus, he did have to do quarantine coming back across to join the England squad, so he's he had to do his 2 weeks. Then I think there's another month I think he's missed as well. So it's been about 6 weeks or so that since he's been home or seen any family. So I think it was the English team always had available to him to do a rest period or to take a break at this point. So of course they've offered that to him, and he said, I've got 2 young kids, I haven't seen them in a while, I want to go home and check, be with the family, and I need a break. So they've done that, and the media, well, not so much the media, but the fans kind of said he's been the scapegoat, they've booted him off, or he's quitting on the team and all that sort of stuff. But I think the English cricket team came out and tried to clarify today that no, it was always on the cards. We'd pre-planned this. I was always available to Ali, and he's made the decision to go home for miss the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think, and with the T20s coming out, they're going back to India to play T20s. Yes, so it was one of those, do you miss 3 months and don't see? He has got 2 young children. I'm not, oh God, this could be wildly wrong. I'm pretty sure he had COVID. That's why he actually had to have an isolation or lockdown. So in a foreign country, it's hard enough when you're touring with the team. He had to do a little bit separate. He's taken 8 wickets. He went for a bit. I didn't do much with the bat at all. But
he had a quick 40, I think.
They made less than 300. Nothing with the bat.
Not in this one.
It's one of those ones they've said, look, there's a 3-week turnaround. Like we said, they're coming and going. He said, I'll come back. I'll play T20. If we're thinking about England as a whole, I'm thinking of Moeen Ali as a coloured. He's a white ball cricketer.
Yeah.
He's in the Test team, I guess, because it's a spinning deck, and Don Best. Again, it was a rotation policy.
Yep.
Moeen Ali's a coloured clothes player. He's that's who I see long term. That's when he's played his best cricket.
Yep.
And he's agreed with that. And I think the Pommies are just building it up. It seems like, what are you quitting? You're picking and choosing when you can play. But it's much ado about nothing for me. But that's why England cricket fans are morons. So shout out to them.
Expect Dom Best to be straight back in this side for the third test.
Again, it's a like for like situation. I think you got how many off spinners do you have on a turning deck? You put in Dom Best again, good young cricket player. So
what'd you dig up there?
Yeah, you're right. Samoan had COVID in the Sri Lanka test.
Yeah, that sounds
missed all that.
Yeah. So it was a pretty intense. I mean, imagine being in Chennai, being isolated, or wherever they were in Sri Lanka, like that. That's hard. That's hard. Talking to your family on Skype, not even playing cricket. So yeah, absolutely. Got all the power to him.
There's one last thing I want to touch on before we move on to the other cricket news. A lot of people say you win the toss in India, you win the game. The last series between England and India, you guys know the result. India got absolutely routed England.
Yes, I was going to say rooted, but routed as well.
England got Joe rooted in this game. Let's put it that way. In this series, I should say, they got absolutely spanked 4-0. You know who won all the tosses in this?
England.
Yeah. So obviously winning the toss is a massive advantage in any cricket venue in the world. Yeah. It's probably a little bit more pronounced on the subcontinent. Mm-hmm. Does it predict the outcome of the game? No,
absolutely not. And there's talks of, and it's very much the radicals of people who think Test cricket needs fixing. But the last 18 months have just proven that it's just amazing, it is the alpha of cricket.
It's the pinnacle.
There were radicals saying, all right, the away team gets to choose what they do because the toss is so important. If the home team wins a toss, it's game over type situation, which probably, but that's part, like we talk about, the ground you play on, the team you play against. That's why you need India have a pool of 20 players. They can mix and match who they pick. When they play in Australia, of course they're going to play their best 3 quicks. When they play in Chennai, they're going to play 3 spinners. And again, that's our problem, where we actually don't have that big pool where we can chop and change for like for like.
Moving on,
let's go run through some international Test cricket. And some beverages.
I'd love one, Monkey.
Sorry, I was going for Pepsi. While we are breaking.
I was just about to talk about someone whose name really needs to be highlighted from this week, Mohammad Rizwan. Mm-hmm. We were speaking about him in the Test series. Of course, Pakistan winning that against South Africa 2-0. Test matches being held back in Pakistan. Before last season, there'd been a 10-year hiatus in that. 2 T20s had been played since our last broadcast. The second one, they were both at Lahore. South Africa.
What did you call me?
Lahore.
He's been waiting all week to say that joke.
It's pretty funny.
Nailed it.
It's French for the whore. So Pakistan winning. Pakistan losing this one. They batted first. They made 7 for 144. Rizwan obviously bats 7 in the Test. He opens in the T20s. He had 51 here. Dwayne Pretorius, named to maybe highlight South African quick. 5 for 17 of his 4 overs.
That's pretty good.
He played 13 2020 internationals before this. He'd never had 2 in his
wickets. In a game.
In a game,
yeah. Right. Okay.
So he'd taken a bunch of 1-fers and none-fers. Yeah. Obviously, wickets maybe not the best indicator of a performance in T20s, although when you read 5 for 17, that's
a good bowler.
Pretty fucking good. Yeah. So shout out to Dwayne Pretorius. South Africa easily chased down this in the 17th over. They win by 6 wickets. Reza Hendricks and Pieter van Biljon, I'm going to say.
I imagine that's 100% correct.
They had 42 each. At me, any Afrikaans speakers. We obviously got the Enrique Norteke chat down to a T last week. I'm sure I didn't get that one right. Would love to hear about it in the comments. So the series goes to 1 apiece. Mm-hmm. The third game in French for the whore. South Africa bat first here. They make 8 for 164. Big pat on the back and some sore shoulders, I imagine, on David Miller. He had 85, half of their runs.
Such a good hitter of the ball. He's
and in 2020s, oh my goodness, he has to be in the top 5 cleanest strikers.
Oh, it's just, and when he's on, like he was on, you can't stop him. You just have to.
He belted 7 sixes in this. The Pakistani quick of the Test series, Hassan Ali, he had 2 for 29 off his 4. Keep an eye on him. Pakistan get the runs in the 19th over. They had 4 wickets in hand. That man again, Mohammad Rizwan, he had 40. Baba Azam chipped in with 40 odd. And Hassan Ali, he can hit a ball too. He finished this game off with 20 off 7. Keep an eye out for South African, Tabriz Shamsi. He's a left-arm Chinaman. He had his monkey Hong Konger. He's a left-arm Hong Konger. He had his best 2020 figures with 4 for 25. Pakistan win the T20s 2-1. They win the Tests 2-0. No ODIs to be played. They come out way on top in this series. South Africa looking a little, how you going? Obviously hard to judge on the subcontinent, but they really got their ass handed to them in this series. Mohammad Rizwan, player of both the Tests and T20 series, 360 odd runs across all matches. Keep an eye out for him.
I think the best thing about that is we've had 2 different series in Pakistan and it's finished, and that was great. So cricket is back in Pakistan.
Yes.
We can now
No hiccups.
No hiccups. So great. So that's awesome. Awesome for Pakistan. Awesome for world cricket.
Yeah, definitely. And a country of about 200 million people.
Yeah, exactly. Who adore cricket and just love it. Yeah.
It's really nice to see, and hopefully, outside of cricket, that country continues to move forward in the right direction, and we see plenty more cricket being played over there in Pakistan. They are. Definitely. You can't question their passion for the game.
Do you want to talk about the resurgence of the West Indies cricket?
Yeah, well,
credit on the Esky.
As we were saying, we put an absolute rocket up them a few weeks ago. We were saying they're shit. They don't want to be involved in the Test team. They all want to play different sports. They've gone out and beaten Bangladesh 2 times here in the Test series. Yeah. This one in Dakar. Windies, they bat first. They make 409. I think we were on day 2 at the time of last podcast. Yep. So already covered De Silva 92, Bonner 90, Alzari Joseph 82. Bangladesh had just gone into bat, perhaps.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And a couple of early wickets they'd lost.
Yes. Yeah. So let's pick up from there. They got bowled out for 296 in this. Leighton Das made 71. The big story out of this one.
The big fella.
The big story, the big man himself, Rakeem Cornwall.
Can you find some measurements on him for us, please?
Oh, yeah.
Do we want? I don't know. Height could be deceiving here. I'm going to say...
he's a big fella. Well,
we'll do centimetres and kgs here. So we'll go... I'm going to go 185.
Yes.
And 132. Let's go, big fella.
I'm going to go 180 flat and 140.
Yeah, right.
I'll go
he's a big man.
I'll go the other way and say 190 and... Yeah, 140 as well.
I don't think he's
190. He's the big show. What is he? He's got a career.
The big show's 7'3". Anyways, he opened the bowling in this. Again, spinners,
another
opening, subcontinent. They tend to do well. He had 5 for 74 in this. His best bowling figure so far in Test match cricket. The Windies go out and they got skittled for 117. So the Banglers probably thought they had a little sniff here.
Yeah, they were well on top of that at that stage. I would have thought. I mean,
indeed, they only needed 231 to win.
Yeah. So I mean, again, the destroyer that came on that opened the match, that opened the bowling. Our man Rakeem took another 4 wickets.
Yeah, 9 for the match, and he opened again and had 30 overs straight.
30 overs straight. We talked about spelling. Actually, you reckon the big man wanted to come out a couple overs off?
Mate, a picture of fitness. You look up athlete, and there is a picture of Rakeem Cornwall. That's the first hit on Google. You look it up in the dictionary. There's him and Homer Simpson. They're there.
He's bowled nearly a full T20 match end to end. The only bowler. That is just good for cricket all around.
So what were our guesses again?
I said 132.
I said 180 centimetres, 140 kgs.
Yeah, and he was 185,
132,
and I was 140 and 190.
I don't think he's that tall. You got it?
He is 198.
Oh my goodness!
Same as me.
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was like 6'4", 6'5". Like he's
2
huge.
metre Rakeem.
6'6".
Any kgs?
And he's 140 kilos.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's so big. Undercut him by 6 inches.
That is so big.
Yeah, he's big. I remember seeing a picture of like the batsman jumping on him after, and they're like little children hanging off his back.
I'm getting this fella up.
Is there
massive.
a more likeable person in Test cricket at the moment than Rakeem Cornwall?
But just he just bowls it off easy, just rolls up.
He just sort of walks in.
Because the reason I asked about the measurements is because we have had that chat recently about,
look there next to the captain. He's huge.
Guys coming out of like the West Indies going more into, say, the American sports and instead of cricket. Like he could play left tackle.
Oh, look at him there.
Because he is ginormous.
He might have to hit the weight room a little bit before that. But
true. But that's probably why he enjoys his cricket.
Definitely has the frame. Definitely has the frame to do that. Look at that one. Oh, wow. He's just absolutely tearing over a few blokes there.
Did you see the catch he took for the 10th wicket in the last innings? Absolute screamer as well. And they all got around him. Oh, it was beautiful to watch. But again, it's part of that West Indies flair, West Indies, we love it. It's a little bit different. Yeah. It won the Test match. He bowls 30 overs straight. They had a small total to defend. It was really good to see. I think.
Like in a tight match in the end of it.
Exactly. So, like we said, congratulations to on the Esky for saving West Indies cricket. We've brought them back to the heights of the 80s when they had all those gun players. Now they've just got a big fat bloke rolling off.
Do the one underneath it.
Yeah, I think you're going to be able to say in the annals of history.
Hang on.
Settle down.
Yeah,
The wording night's not for a couple of days.
Holy.
Access denied. It's the annals of history, I think, isn't it?
Annals.
Annals of history.
Yeah, well, you live and you learn, don't you?
We have here on the Esky.
This has been
Long division and
really drawn out. I was going to say Curtly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, Brian Lara, Rakeem Cornwall.
Watch this.
This.
He went down.
It looked good.
A big fella.
It looked like he fell over. He
Good
reaching for a
radio,
cheeseburger at second slip.
Look at
I
that.
mean, if you're reaching for your toes that tall, you're
Watch the boys jumping all over him.
They love him. All right, I think that's enough for Rakeem Cornwall for tonight.
If there is such a thing, but yes.
Bangladesh, they need 231 to win this test match. They had plenty of time. They get scheduled for 213. They fall 17 runs short. Our man Rakeem had 4 for 105. He finished with 9 for 179 on the test. That's pretty handy. Windies win this series 2-0.
Nkrumah.
Bonner.
Bonner.
Not Boner.
Not Bonner.
Boner, anal. It's all happening here on the Esky. Hard Nick.
Jeez.
Something's on the mind.
God, it is the wedding night. Shout out to Pepsi over there, man. We're less than 48 hours away from the big day.
Tying the knot. Yes. Excited.
Shout out the future Mrs. Pizzulo, Sarah, if you're listening. We know you love your cricket, Sarah.
If you are this far into this dribble, I'm marrying the right man.
We've made that same joke almost exactly on 45 minutes again.
There you go. She also had something to say about you. She just said, just it's Braid. It's Braid. Just spit it out.
Name all the tight ends for the Buccaneers, just while we're having a break between the cricket.
Yeah, Gronk. There you go.
Gronk.
The rest of them are just so blind.
OJ Howard, Anthony Auclair, French Canadian.
Okay.
This is
let's go. Let's move in. Let's go into some Shield cricket.
Shield cricket.
Yes, that's
Shield
what
cricket.
the
Get
fans are
stuck
here
into
for.
some Shield.
The final point on that was we thought the Windies are garbage. We thought they were going to get smoked here.
It looked like they were in that
Showed
first
a lot of ticker. Kyle Mayers, obviously, with that double ton in the first. Nkrumah Bonner. Sorry, slip of tongue, Freudian. He's made some runs there. And the most likeable cricketer in the world, Rakeem Cornwall, shows that he's not just there to make sure they don't lose any fights in the stands. Marsh Cup.
Get in there, mate. Domestic cricket. Here we are, back at home in Australia.
Before the Shield, our domestic one-day competition kicked off. They have been doing this sort of weird format where they try to smoke out as many games as they can quite quickly. Obviously, the rise of 2020 cricket.
I think as well with this, Victoria, they got permission to come up from Victoria to come into New South Wales, of course, of the lockdown in Melbourne. So probably part of that is like, hey, if you're coming up, we've got to play everything at once.
Mac, and you probably remember back in the day, the ING Cup or Mercantile Mutual Cup or whichever sponsorship had it. The one-day domestic competition was fire.
Yeah.
You used to watch it. It was televised, free to air
Absolutely.
TV,
It was
maybe on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Or run home from school and flick it on, and catch it.
Yeah.
They had the ING sign, hit the sign. They'd win like $100 grand. That's when your Brad Hodge, Andrew Simons made their names. And again, and we'll go into it throughout the season about Shield players and making your name really force your way into the Aussie team. There just doesn't seem to be enough of that. Maybe because eyes aren't on the domestic level, but that's all we've got now for the next couple of months. So let's focus on one-day cricket. Let's focus on Shield cricket.
It's also great because the Australian team can't go anywhere, so all the Australian, the big names are playing. In
exactly
these games.
right. So you're facing world-class bowling. You're bowling the world-class batting.
It's excellent cricket too.
It's absolutely, and this game had a bit of it all, flattened out a bit at the end, but Peps run us through North Sydney Oval.
It's a great segue, the fact that you guys mentioned that anyone could be playing in these games. Enter into the New South Wales lineup Steve Smith, Pat Cummins, Nathan Lyon, if you don't mind.
Who captain New South Wales, by the way?
It's Neville. It's Peter Neville.
Is it still Neville, or did they give it to...
Well, I don't think it's Steve's. I don't think...
No, well, I thought there was chat beforehand they were going to give it to Cummins. I just was wondering if they'd actually done that or
That
not.
is an excellent shout, and Cummins may have done that.
We'll let Monkey figure that out.
Look up who was captain in this one. So New South Wales, the Blues, they started 2 for 6 after the first 2 overs. We're looking like they're in all kinds of curry. Enter a bloke called Steve Smith. He makes 127. They finish up 9 for 318 of their 50. A little cameo from Ollie Davies, 57 of 41. And Pat Cummins, that man, is pretty good with the bat as well as the ball. He had 49 of 30. Victoria go out and they lose this pretty comfortably. They get scheduled for 259. Matt Short, no relation to Darcy, 67 in this. And James Pattinson, he can strike the ball quite well. He had 54 of 36. That man, Pat Cummins, 3 for 38 of his 9. I think the other bowlers chipped in with a few wickets. Be very interesting to follow this competition as it matures.
Who was captain, Jimmy?
Yeah, so it was Pat Cummins.
Yeah, so Cummins. Okay. Cool. So I think that's the start of the...
Is this grooming?
Yeah, this is definitely grooming.
Well, I think Neville's named captain for the next one. Might see if they update that.
True.
So the Australian Cricket Board is like a middle-aged man and Pat Cummins is like a 16-year-old girl and they're just getting in there.
Yeah, just a bit of grooming going on for young Patrick.
That may be edited out post-show. Match 12 of the Sheffield Shield. The Sheffield Shield obviously resuming after a 3-month hiatus, obviously since
November,
before the Big Bash.
Yeah.
An absolutely stacked New South Wales side again.
I like that it's paired with the one day. That was the old school thing as well. You'd go to Queensland, you play one day,
and you play a Shield game.
So it's
Cummins out of this side. I don't know if it was a resting type situation.
I'd imagine so. I saw Trent Copeland. That man will bowl till he's 70.
Hazelwood.
Yeah, they probably needed to see Starkey get some more overs, I'd say, in this.
Abbott. That was the fast bowlers.
Unreal bowling lineup.
Abbott's probably a bit unlucky. He's here playing for New South Wales instead of not playing T20
and we have mentioned that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
If anyone wants to get into the back catalogue on the Esky, they probably need a few views. Yes. New South Wales, despite this stellar side, they get absolutely skittled for 165. Shout out to young Mitch Perry. He had 3 for 25 of 17 overs.
Nice, neat outswing has really, really tightened him down. It was a very green deck on the SCG.
Could you imagine bowling 17 overs and going for 25? That's usually 2. Like that's 2, and I'm done. I'm good for 25.
Considering you pick off Steve Smith as one of them, so
I think and Smudge was one of them.
Yeah, snicked him off. Yeah, that's 1 point.
Smudge
6 and over. 1.6 and over.
Smudge's extravagant leaves.
Yeah,
very extravagant.
They're getting more extravagant.
He's just added some spin moves to them. So
he's trying to one up Marnus. Marnus isn't getting weird. It's going to be a leave off between
Smudge
the two.
is number 1, I think.
He's that boy's all over the spectrum. I can guarantee you that.
Big time spectrum. We love him, of course. Shout out to Bendooley Estate, where Steve Smith got married.
There you go.
Big wedding coming up on the weekend. We've plugged that a little bit.
Is that why you picked that? Sarah let you have one choice. Steve Smith got married here. Done. Let's pick this place.
Maybe some talent or a buff eventually.
It might have one joke in our speech that I don't want to spoil.
We'll save it.
Tune in.
They never are that funny.
Tune in next week. We'll rip that one out on the Esky.
Under over 2.5 out of 10 on the joke there. Victoria 200 even. Joseph, what happened? They were 2 for 150.
2 for about 151. I mean, New South Wales skittled for 160, and Madison and Harris came out. Harris played quite tidy, but Madison was taking a liking to Stark. Stark was very wayward, and we've seen a wayward Stark. Yes. Not so much the wides and stuff, but just half volleys, wide outside off, and Madison just nice timing. They put on 94 for the first wicket. 2 for about 150. And then they lost
Nathan Lyon.
Nathan Lyon on that SCG pitch, which, I mean, we're looking for a couple extra bats in Australia, but to see Nathan Lyon, he absolutely ripped through him, 6 for 21 in the end.
And after a quiet summer, he'd be pretty happy
absolutely with that. Right. Yeah. Victoria lose 8 for about 49 and absolutely capitulate. It was an absolute capitulation, as I say. So Lyon rips through. New South Wales 1 for 22 as we speak overnight.
Finish the stumps on day 2.
Day two. So again, we've still got 2 days of cricket, and we've lost.
Should get a result.
Yeah, we've lost 21 wickets in 2 days. Yeah. So 2 ways to sort of look at this game. Oh, great. We've got young Mitch Perry, Lyon getting some form. Batting stocks. The one actually highlight I did like from this was Enriquez. We've got 67 up there.
Yes.
My favourite number.
Another bloke that probably missed out on the T20.
Yeah, my favourite number from Enriquez's innings, 170 deliveries faced.
Add up some rocks.
We are crying out for someone to do that.
They can eat them, yep.
And especially, look, they made 160, so there's wickets falling around him, so he just got behind the ball, played it back to the bowler. Again, that's what we need in the test team. We talk about Pujara, we talk about Joe Root's longevity. That's what you just need to do. So Enriquez, we've said he's in the mix for that number 5 spot, possibly. Yep. I mean, test championship, fingers crossed.
Possibly.
We've got to see who could be there.
We didn't cover that, but
it's probably a positive.
1-1 over there, I think, is a pretty good result. Yeah, we'll have a look at that maybe next week on the Esky.
But other than that, Madison looked aggressive at the top of the order. He came in at that weird time with Ferguson, and there was a big overhaul, and Madison probably came in a little bit too early.
Yeah.
So he might be one to watch. Curtis Patterson, who's very unlucky. I think he made 140 here in Canberra, and then was dropped the next game. So he would have loved to stand up and score some runs. Maybe in the second knock he can put his hand up. Again, that's why we're so excited for the Shield cricket. There's all these names that can maybe. Let's strengthen this depth pool. So that game's very much in the balance, the way these bowlers are going with the quality of players in there. So, Victoria currently 20 runs ahead, not even. So, very poised.
Mitchell Starc, you mentioned before that he was a little bit expensive. Nick Maddinson was taking a liking to him. Finished up with none for 71 of his 14 overs here. That's just about 5 and over. Yep. Has he got any concerns, do you think?
I think big concerns. I think we sort of have talked about it the last couple of weeks. Our question marks are number 5, obviously. I mean, opening the batting and whatever's happening there. And our third quick. We love Cummins, Hazelwood, very consistent. Lyon here.
Yep, you're not dropping any of those 3, I would have thought.
We were talking about Starc late in that India series. He was a liability more than an attacking weapon, which he is such a weapon when he's on. And it's that Mitchell Johnson. It's a left arm quick, and it's swinging and it's bouncing. But I mean,
but the problem is there's no one that kind of fits that aggressive mould ready to come in.
Jimmy Patterson. I think
Patterson's probably the main
exactly
one.
who I was going to think.
And again, do we need someone?
Different bowlers.
The other 2 I was thinking of is probably Jai Richardson, who's over with T20, and then Sean Abbott, of course, who's playing in this game.
Yep.
Probably the other 2.
I think
Jai Richardson was in the team, did his shoulder, and got dropped out. But
and bowls wheels.
And moves it. So I think and it always is the case, if we've got one position, it's quick bowlers. So I think we really need to be like India, be like England. You're not bowling well, you're out. Jai Richardson, you're in. You're not bowling well, you're out. You proved that you deserve to be in here. It's great. You've taken 200 odd wickets at test level, and you've had some devastating spells.
Where's the loyalty back?
But I mean, look at Washington Sundar. Look at Washington Sundar. Yes. Where's his loyalty? And they win. What do we care about more than anything? Is winning. So I mean, again, and you tie yourself to favourites, and I've said a million times, we love scapegoats. Oh, Starkey's bowling like shit. Oh, get him out of there. People have bad games. It's when the bad outweighs the good.
It's when bad games become bad form. That's where
exactly right.
Well, he's out of sorts. He probably needs to play some more Shield cricket, get back into form before we bring him back in. So.
And if you're dropped, and it seems to be the way in Australia, if you're dropped, your career's not over. Look what Mitch Johnson did. He got dropped. He was out for 2 years, came back and had one of the all-time
look at the Australian captain.
Test series.
That Ashes
exactly
series,
right. Tim Payne's come from nowhere. Michael Clark was dropped. Ricky Point.
We've spoken about it before.
Get dropped, earn your spot, come back in. Or you get in, don't let that guy come back in.
There's not too many guys that have had a long Test career that never got dropped. So
the other game, Tasmania
and Queensland. Tassie bat first in this one. They make 332. Caleb Jewell, remember the name, 23-year-old Tasmanian, had 140. Brendan Doggett, the best of the Queensland bowlers, 4 for 88. In return...
the Peppy making 171.
Speaking of returns...
apparently the joke is I look like Joe Burns. I think with some longer hair and a little bit more stubble.
Couple of beers, yes.
And about 80 times more cricketing talent. Yes, I could be a Joe Burns.
80 times, sheesh.
If
Good
you would.
on Joe Burns.
Let's go the ton. Let's go 100 times more. 171 of Queensland's 275. That's I know we don't like quick math on this show, but it's like 55%, maybe 60%.
Bit more, yeah.
Bit more than
That's
that.
more actually.
Yeah.
No, what's 173, 40? Let's call that nearly 60. That's 2/3 of their runs.
Yeah, 2/3. Let's go with that.
That's good. I think
Marnus had 49, so outside of those two, they made 40 runs.
Yeah,
Yes.
Xavier Bartlett batting late. Hit 20 odd. He's one to watch. Good swing bowler. But a lot of ducks, a lot of single figures for the Queenslanders. Joe Burns, such an anomaly. You know, it's one of those ones we've casted him aside. We talk about people making shield runs. 170 is a lot of shield runs.
He makes a lot of shield runs. The problem is, does he start falling into the Sean Marsh category where he makes a lot of shield runs, but then
I know. Yeah, it's interesting.
For Sean Marsh's problem, he can't bat in Australia. He bats right elsewhere.
And it's and the argument is of what is the Tasmanian bowling lineup. I challenge anyone here to name them, but no one else hit 170 runs. Marnus Labuschagne didn't hit 170, and yes, obviously he had a bit of luck along the way.
Renshaw, all in that side.
So I mean,
Bo Webster.
Yeah.
But
it's on the board, but
he's not. Even, I don't think he's even a specialist spinner. No. He bats about 6 in the Big Bash.
He bats 6 and bowls. Does he bowl seam up? Or?
I think he bowls offies. Could we have a look at Bo Webster, please?
So
Tasmania resume their number 7. This game, I guess you'd say, is pretty evenly poised.
It's
obviously,
close,
Tassie have the
50.
lead by about 50 odd. 2 days remaining. Should get a result. There's going to be 2 games that you should see a result in.
Yeah, which is good. Again, two Tasmania and Queensland, no real names that we sort of talk about and are jumping off the page. Caleb Jewell, 23, lefty, batting 4. That's what we like to see. Other than that, it's Joe Burns, it's Marnus Labuschagne.
The Queensland side's got a fair few, in terms of their bats.
Yeah. So, I mean... And that's the joke, it's all Victoria and New South Wales. But, I mean, read out the 11s, and that's who we're talking about.
Indeed.
But we want to see these teams.
Absolutely. I want to hear about Brendan Doggett bowling, steam up and get us some good. Bring me back to those days.
Yeah.
Webster? Webster's a right arm off spin.
There you go.
All right, so I think that finishes up Shield coverage. The next upcoming cricket we kind of alluded to, the T20 series, Australia versus New Zealand, that starts on Monday, February the 22nd. And the next Shield games that happen after these is next week. It starts Thursday, February the 25th. The final note that Jimmy's just added for us is Will Pukowski is out for the rest of the season. Well, I'd say you've got his test season. I don't think he's going to play cricket.
He's not going to play cricket this year.
He's not playing cricket probably for 6 months, I'd say, because he's going under the knife. 9 months.
What are they saying?
It's a full Rico,
for a full shoulder Rico. So he had a compound injury that he got from the SCG test. So I guess he must have tried to let it heal from that. Gave it like 6 weeks.
It was so innocuous. Like I just remember him going over and being like, a bit of a stinger, maybe missed 1 or 2, and here we go, he's blown out his whole shoulder.
Yeah, I remember reading the chat and a few people going, looks like his shoulder popped out, probably be good for the next test kind of thing.
But if it's joint, like if he's ruined that AC joint or
there is hundreds of things that can go wrong in that joint. So.
Well, it sounds like they've got to open him up, clean it up, recondition it, maybe even put it back together. So, yes, a shoulder recondition for a bloke that's 20.
All the concussion stuff before
mental health. Finally got there. Looked so good. Captured the nation, if you would. Yeah, he hit 60, but, oh, my God, here he is. He's here.
Well, that's the only quintessential Aussie story, really.
Yeah. But the shining light is if ever there was a year to be having a season-long surgery, it's this year.
It's now.
Like, we literally don't have a game till the Ashes, and I think he's hoping if rehab goes well, he should be fit for a Shield game and then the Ashes. So, I mean, he's picked absolutely first if he's fully fit, even after 1 game. So
I think our best 2 openers are Warner and Pukowski without argument.
So hopefully, everything goes well.
All the best to Will and his rehab, and hopefully we are talking about him scoring some runs come next summer. That's it for cricket.
That wraps up the crickets. I think we'll stay domestic and have a look at the NRL and AFL. Let's start with NRL. One of those questions we wanted to kind of cover was the amount of injuries that happen in training. So I'll run through some. So Bryce Cartwright, who's just joined Power from the Titans, broke his jaw on Monday, and that was after we talked about Mick Ennis. doing his ACL on the Friday.
Also at training.
How do you say the New Zealand Warriors?
Eliesa Katoa.
Katoa fractured his eye socket. Looks like he may play on the 1st. Billy Smith, which is a name I can pronounce, for the Roosters, did his shoulder, could miss 2 months. There was Jack Williams from Cronulla. He was admitted to hospital and actually put into an induced coma.
Yeah, so this was from the trial game. I don't know if you guys saw the footage. It was essentially a big don't argue, and it got him pretty clean in his throat.
Yeah.
He spent 3 nights in hospital, induced coma. I imagine that's intensive care.
Wow.
They was questioning there was some nerve damage there. Apparently he's recovering well. He's in good spirits. Eddie Blacker, he is...
The prop that did defend.
Yeah, the Dragons prop. I think he made his debut last year. Cops 3 weeks. Maybe I'm a one-eyed, red-eyed, red-V'd-eyed Dragon supporter. Did you see the footage of this,
I didn't
Sean?
see the fend, but my question to you was it open hand or closed hand?
Open.
So I think, I'd say that's probably a bit stiff because it's a fend.
And
if he hits him in the face, then it's probably okay. Like it's
you can't punch people when you've got the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But like if it's an open hand and he's pushed,
if you can get that footage up so the boys
if he hasn't
can watch it,
grabbed or squeezed or it's just a fend. Like you imagine Derek Henry doing the same thing. It's just it's going to be the same outcome.
And my thoughts,
sorry to cross sports again. But
my thoughts go out to Jack Williams. That's a horrific injury to have suffered. But
it's just unlucky
for me. Watching this, it did seem rather innocuous
because you kind of thinking, well,
so that's it there.
Okay. Or is it more elbowed? Is he cop him with the elbow as well?
I think that's just fend.
So I think it'll just let it go. It should play it again.
So he took the 3 weeks. He could have had 4 early guilty plea.
Yeah. If with the suspension like that, is they starting to they took out the shoulder charge. Are they going to try to start stamping out the fend?
Well, can I ask, as the league nuffy on the panel, if I give you a don't argue to the face, is that a penalty?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not meant to be able to fend to the face.
I think
it's elbow. So he hits him with the elbow. And
it's more forearm. So I think that's the
forearm shiver is I think what's done him here.
Yeah, and I think that if you want to clamp out stuff to the head, which is what World Sport's doing, that's what's going to do it, and it's unfortunate.
You can see that there.
Okay, so it's probably his forearm and elbow that's making contact.
I think that's unlucky though. That's his hand and slipping up his forearm.
Well, the argument is if Jack Williams gets up and goes away, it is that.
Yeah, they want to stamp out.
But it's a result based thing, not the
right, exactly.
The problem is that happens almost every week in the NRL.
And they've reverse engineered this back from the injury and going, this is a pretty fucked up injury. Let's slap the guy with
trying to be a bit PC
with a little suspension. Yeah,
because if you change it and he goes low and you fend him, on the top of his head and you push him down and get him out of the way and he's fine. Like it's still it's a fend, but it's just. I think what's undone him is the forearm shiver here, where he's hit him with probably the very hard point of the forearm down the bottom towards the elbow, which can do a fair bit of damage, especially when you hit him straight under the throat. But small man or big man, these things happen.
Indeed. Wishing Jack Williams all the best with his recovery.
Yes, quick recovery, definitely.
There. A little bit of news out of Bronco land. Tony Staggs, he's continuing his rehab. Obviously did his ACL in one of the last games last year. They reckon he'll be back mid-season. We were speaking last week about he's probably the best player at Brisbane.
Oh, but yes. Yep. I mean, I'd say after all the stuff Payne House has done, I'd pick him as your best player out of Brisbane.
Not really any news, actually.
No, it's just he's just progressing.
Seems to be rehabbing well.
Yeah. What do you think about all this, the injuries in training? Because does it mean, as blokes probably coming off the off-season a bit rough or are they just going too hard? Because it seems a bit odd. Because I know last year, like Jack Bird did his ACL really like the week before the first game. But outside of that, I can't really think of any many injuries that happened in the training leading up to it because they didn't. I think they had more preseason than they did this year.
Well,
they played like 4 games preseason and they didn't play any now because they're just not traveling for that.
If you look at that list of injuries, we've got broken jaw, fractured eye socket, shoulder injury, and then obviously the unlucky fend. They're all contact injuries, so there's actually not a lot. That's just incidents. Tissue. There's no soft tissue. There's no ACL. That's the argument. The ACL and the soft tissue. If you're underdone, you're not going to be as fit, so you're going to your muscles aren't ready to go. I think it's just one of those things with injuries we hate about the sport. But
does that lead to then maybe are they going too hard in training?
That's interesting. That is interesting. We'll get to the AFL in a sec. I do think they really like to simulate the game a lot these days. I don't know. I don't know if we are over analysing this point. I think if we went back, hindsight is 2020. If we looked at every preseason, you probably would be pulling out a bunch of injuries from each one.
I like the point you just made about going live, because if we use the fighting analogy, they're definitely moving a lot away from sparring for that reason, because guys get banged up, guys they get knocked down in training, and then leading into the fight, your chin's more susceptible. So similar sort of situation, I guess. If you're going live, you're going hard, you got to expect, I guess, there's going to be some fallout from that. There's going to be some injuries. Yes, maybe come into the season more prepared, but it seems that the guys that have kind of toned down their sparring and focused more on technique have actually progressed further in the UFC world. I wonder if maybe that sort of stuff starts flowing into the other contact team sports, where it's more of the technical mental game and less of the meathead game, I guess.
Yeah, but you don't want to go the other way either. I think
you don't want either extreme. I think.
If you look at the NFL this year, obviously with no preseason, there was no really hard simulated contact. They had a bunch of injuries.
But training camps also changed as well. Like training camp used to be really brutal in the NFL. You'd be banging pads every day, and you'd be doing it for 2 months leading up. 2 a day is it's crazy. Whereas now they've, in part of the CBA, they've kind of written all that out just to try to protect players, because it's a long season, and they're going to be banging on each other all year. So
interesting point.
Interesting to see.
I don't know if we're going to get a definitive answer out of this discussion.
Maybe something to follow throughout the coming years.
Long-term thing,
Indeed. Sean, what happened with these Raiders boys?
So it kind of flew under the radar, and it only came out because of another story in relation to the Raiders. So a couple of the Raiders players, so Corey
Come on, you can do this. You can do this.
Harawira, fuck.
You were very close there.
I know how to say it. I just can't get it out.
Try. Come on.
Harawira, I know. I got to say it quickly. I just can't do it.
Yeah, there's no
Harawira Naira.
The Kiwi. And Corey Hornsberg.
Former Canterbury Bulldog.
Yes, played for the Raiders last year. Corey Hornsberg as well. They both got done for DUI during the offseason. So Corey, I think, was like a week after Christmas, and then they're both Corys. That doesn't help anyone. CHN. I think he was first, and then Horsburgh was in late January.
Horsburgh.
Yeah, but both got done for DUI. Both have been dropped from the top side, like as in they've gone back to feeder club. They need to earn their spots back. Ricky's just like, I'm not having any of that. Yeah. But during the week, the kind of what led into this story was a bunch of junior players. They played in, it says under 18 side, and that's what the news reported it as, but I don't think these boys, because they're out drinking, so I don't think they're actually under 18.
Out drinking?
Yeah, well, they're out civic, out in the city.
18-year-olds in civic, I won't hear it.
Yeah, and
was it a club called Mooseheads by any chance?
Yeah, quite possibly. For another great shout out for Mooseheads.
Shout out Mooseheads if you're looking to sponsor any upcoming podcasts. We're
So the boys got into a brawl with a whole bunch of people. What really did them in was the club found out about it, then asked them about it. Of the four boys, 3 lied about their involvement. Sounds like one told the truth, and then probably as part of that snitched.
Classic teacher move, that one. We know who did it, so if you tell,
who's already told us.
The other 3 have already. I was like, all right, we did this. So they got one.
Old prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah, this is shout out to the New York Police Department. I think I saw a little documentary on Netflix. They run this one as well. Got people to confess to some things they did not do.
Yes. Canberra Raiders, NYPD, just same in the same breath.
Well, didn't one of the guys get glassed or get hit over the head with a ball or something?
I think they did the glassing, which is kind of, again, not a great look.
Allegedly, of course.
Lying to the club didn't help as well. So as part of their involvement, all 4 guys have been cut from the squad. So
what do you reckon the Raiders senior members hit them with? Look, guys, we're not mad. We're just really disappointed that you lied to us. You felt that you couldn't be open with us.
Well, Ricky came out during the week and said that's not a culture. That's not what we stand for. So,
that's fair.
Understandable.
We can't stand by those guys. Sorry, you're out.
And we go. Sorry to cut you off there, Sean, but we've done it the last couple of weeks and talking about what's acceptable, what culture do we want to stamp out. If this was Jack White and name some Raiders players for me, Papali. Papali, is it the same thing? Like, yes, awesome, you cut it. Absolutely, we don't tolerate this, we go. But is it because you're 18-year-old kids, or is it because we don't want the culture? So,
exactly.
So it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but keep it consistent.
I agree with you, because Payne Haas has just done something very similar, and he's copped a big fine, but he's playing in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Well, he's got his 3-week suspension, but after that he'll be playing for Brisbane.
And who's more likely to bounce back from something like this? An 18-year-old kid who had his hopes hung up on footy, or the guy who's making $1 million a year?
His whole support system's just probably disappeared from him.
Exactly. And we're not going to solve footy culture here in your living room here, Sean. No. But I mean, it's you just want to get rid of this Mungo meathead boys club, get mentality. Pissed, do whatever you want because I'm good at footy.
But that's Australian culture, bro.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that served so well over recently. Don't open a newspaper or anything in the past 47 years.
Yeah. But I mean, they did it with, was it Dugan and Fergo?
Yeah, same thing. Well, they were skipping training and getting pissed on the roof. So
but again, that's it's not like they were in a brawl. There was no assault. It was obviously they were meant to be at training, and they took a photo of themselves. But
I think there's a lot more.
But they're also good examples because both have had stellar NRL careers after that, and they were very young when they did that. So maybe they did live and learn. And
I think maybe the other side of that is they did get out of the Raiders and got better deals in Sydney. So
we haven't heard about it. They don't live
for them
anymore.
Could you imagine the Canberra Raiders right now if they had every single one of them that played? Oh my goodness. Dugan, Ferguson.
Can you imagine that under 18
Milford
team playing for the Valley Dragons? All those boys coming through.
I don't know if they all grew up in the ACT, but
they all not Ferguson. I know Croker.
He's
Dugan.
from Goulburn originally. Dugan, obviously, Tuggeranong.
There was a whole list of them. And they all left. No, was it Carney? There was a bunch of them.
Carney's from Goulburn.
There was a bunch of them that came through the system all at the same time. And they played together a bit. Anyway, that's Raiders history you don't need to go into.
A big tangent
Brett Mullins.
there. We talk a lot about there. What's going on with Craig Bellamy? Is there some little secret Chinese whispers going on?
It sounds like there's a report that's come out that for the last 6 months he's been having some secret chats with the Sharks CEO about possibly joining the club from next year. Of course, his coaching deal runs out with Melbourne at the end of this season. There's talk about him going to Brisbane is one of the other ones, but of course Kevin Walters is now there, and they're thinking about how would they join up. Melbourne, staying at Melbourne, and I think Titans, from memory, were some of the places.
Just listed. About anywhere, really.
But him and Wayne are probably the two premier coaches that they're the name coaches. They're those franchise face guys you can put in there, and everyone knows who they are. So Wayne, of course, is in a similar position. He's having chats about whether he stays at South or whether he goes elsewhere to similar spots that Craig's also involved in. So there's a bit of overlap between the two of them. Where they go could then start off next year's coaching carousel, as you will, for how that all goes. But interesting that the Sharks, which kind of left field because it sounded like Bellamy more likely to go back to Queensland.
Yeah, and not a huge club, I guess, in Cronulla.
Yeah, but
it'd want to be a lot of money, wouldn't it? God, for Bellamy to have to.
You think so?
I think, yeah.
And Sharkies are definitely not been the richest club, but they've definitely invested more in the Shire. So sounds like they're interesting. Is it John Morris, their current coach?
Josh. Yeah, I think probably the youngest.
I know it is John.
It's John. He's Josh. You're thinking of the Morris brothers.
Yeah.
It's John Morris, Who's
calling me out. That's their real brain
Dragons,
fart.
West
Real
Tigers.
brain fart from me. Yeah, hooker, John Morris.
Yeah,
quite a good-looking young rooster.
Second or third year, I think, with Sharks.
You got everything on the Esky today.
Yeah, little.
Let's rate all the rugby league coaches and their looks.
Well, John Morris is not last. Of course, I was.
Wayne's probably last. Keep going.
I was thinking of Josh Morris.
You're thinking of the Morris brothers.
Centre from the Roosters, Bulldogs, Dragons.
Yeah, but John Morris, the coach, I think he's been there 2 or 3 years. I wonder what that kind of means for him. He probably is like, well, it's Craig. Like, of course you're going to talk to Craig Bellamy. I've only been here 3 years. He's won 6 premierships, 2 asterisks.
John's off contract at the end of the season.
There's that too. So great shout.
Yeah. Interesting sort of.
So, coaching carousel to come in the NRL. The Indigenous All-Stars versus Maori All-Stars is Saturday night in Townsville. Just wanted to shout that out, that game. The Maoris won this corresponding game last year at 30-16, and it was in Melbourne. Being interesting sides with the new guys coming in with the Melbourne lockdown. Big story, big rumour story. Cameron Smith, he's, of course, relocated his family up to the Gold Coast. There's rumours he's been seen training with the under-19 squad, and Josh Holbrook has been overseeing some of that. Of course, the Titans head coach, and in the Gold Coast, the Titans feeder club. He's been doing some coaching / assistance work with some of the other younger clubs, like under-18 clubs in the Gold Coast. Rumours out there that he's signed with them. And Gold Coast, of course, denying everything that's not official.
Did you see who's leading the denials? They're what's his title? Culture manager or something. Mal Meninga is the culture
manager.
Culture manager. It's the most bullshit.
Mal's come out and denying it all. But
how do I get that gig?
Culture manager. In denying it all, there's a comment here where he was talking to Yvonne Sampson, and he dropped that's the $550,000 question in terms of contract figures. So
an exact number.
An exact number. So,
jeez, that's
this has been speculated, obviously, for months.
For a very long time. But he's been cited in and around the club. They're talking about it. It's very hard for them to kind of hide if it's going to happen. Mark Guy, I think, was coming out and saying, hey, if the Titans, I think he's maybe waiting. If the Titans start, say, on 4, he's going to be like, nah, but if they win their first 4, he might be like,
he wouldn't
all right, would he? Oh, who knows? But then I think about Nathan Pence, who's the who's the current hooker, who's, was looking at Origin as a hooker a couple of years ago. Solid.
Very good, yeah.
So if he stays, because I think he's still on contract with them, if he stays there, does that mean Cameron comes in and plays maybe 6 with Ash Taylor playing 7? You disregard that.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's just how do you put your best 13 on? Like, you got to put Cameron in the side somewhere.
And keep Pete's there.
And how you keep Pete's in. Because I don't know who 6 is, but I know Ashton Taylor plays 7.
Have a look at
because maybe you play Cameron at 7 and you push Taylor into 6 as a shout.
Some Brady-esque type talk here, isn't
there?
Late in the career.
Getting the goat.
A goat. Can I do it at a shit club?
Get the coach on the field.
Without Craig Bellamy.
So what does this mean for Melbourne?
Well, they've got Harry Grant's back there.
They're fine.
So Cam's done in Melbourne.
Yeah, I think they've got.
No, we're not saying that.
We're not saying it's not. Nothing's official.
Everything on the Esky is alleged.
Yeah, allegedly. Nothing's been announced from the Storm, which is like they haven't done a big
There's been nothing. Yeah.
Which is so weird because this is the greatest player. Whatever. One of the greatest players of all time. The greatest player of your club.
Top 3.
Like you'd roll the carpet out, you build a statue for him, and I don't know. We're a couple of weeks from round 1, and no one actually knows if he's
official or model, definitely. So
have to keep an eye on that
because I know they've got. Harry Grant's there, Smith's there. I know Daniel Hughes might be going to the Warriors to move from in the halves to play fullback.
Young bloke called Aaron Clark. I think he's played a few first grade games. I don't know if they've got a legitimate 6. Jamal Fogarty, he's a good shout. I saw a photo of him today. He is he's a big half.
True, but maybe in that kind of Jack Whiting model, but. But, if you want to get the best out of Ash Taylor, do you put Cameron Smith next to him?
Maybe, They do pay a lot of money to have Ash Taylor there. Maybe it's just, I don't know, a mentoring role.
Could be. So, anyway, all speculation. We will follow this in the coming weeks as we get closer to the season and what happens with Cameron. At this point, he's got no contract, so I guess we can consider him retired at this point.
TB12. Suliasi Vunivalu stood down from the Reds, obviously former Melbourne Storms Storm
Reds
winger.
First game. Well, the Super Rugby actually starts tomorrow on Friday.
You're joking.
They had
their first games tomorrow. So lovely promotion.
Seen it advertised everywhere. It's on billboards.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that. The competition that is that local sports team.
That sport is going places in this country for sure.
I reckon ice hockey's got a big standing in Australia.
Yeah, go Braves, I guess.
Did Foxtel buy the rights to that? Someone bought all the rights to rugby. Maybe it's KO. I think it's all going to be on KO. So no Frito-Lay.
I will not be watching.
And we shall not be commenting too much because obviously we're all league heads here. We probably wouldn't have much to add, really.
No. Just like the NHL. But
this story involving Vunivalu, what happened, Sean?
So he didn't tell the club what happened, and it kind of came out later on, like a month later. Like it's only just come out, and he did a press conference, I think Tuesday, to confirm it. He's been stood down. I think there's probably fine pending, but it happened in January. He's pushed a security guard at a nightclub, or I think it might have been like an RSL, like at a club.
Nightclub, heaving, RSL, it's all the same. It's also women everywhere.
I think it was more a pub than a nightclub. So, but anyways, it hasn't gone down well for him. It's come out and he's now been stood down, which is a bummer for him because I think the Wallabies were trying to fast track him into the squad. So that was all on the tables too. So
be a good addition to the St. George Dragons. Hopefully their management is listening. I reckon throw him a few bones and get him on the wing this year for the Big Red V.
Yeah, well, you can't talk about religion, but if you push a security guard, we'll let you play for the Dragon.
Pushed, and allegedly.
Allegedly.
So on that, Nine's got the rugby.
That's
from the
right.
looks of it.
Yes. That we talked about this, because rugby's got it,
back in November.
And then the overlap between them and rugby league, how that's going to go. So
very strange.
We're going to have to see that. Of course, it sounds like we're not promoting the rugby at all.
Well, I haven't seen a single.
I've seen promotion for the rugby league, but I haven't seen anything for interesting. Maybe they didn't pay for that anyway.
Maybe we should move to Australia's premier winter contact sport in terms of viewership. I think it is that way.
No, absolutely it is. Best sport in Australia. World. Come on, people. Let's get into some AFL, Sean.
St Kilda.
Do you want to run us through it, Mecca?
Sure.
Take us away.
We'll start with St Kilda. They've been hit with the injury bug. We've been talking about the league, how they've been sort of the training has, as it's ramped up, the more injuries have been hit. Youngster Ben Patton, who forced his way into the team last year. It's one of the new coaches at the club, Jared Roughhead, former Hawks legend.
Great name.
Absolutely, yeah. So former Hawks legend.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Shout out Ruffy. You can hop on the potty anytime you want. You'll fit in.
Come back from tumour, didn't he?
Yeah. So retired now. Brought on. St Kilda have been pretty progressive with their coaching staff. They've got they've had a woman on staff, Beck Goddard. Billy Slater was actually brought on as a coaching, as like a leadership mentor sort of role. And they've brought him off. Obviously, you bring in a bloke who's won 4 premierships. He was in that Hawks dynasty. He's going to have. You'd think you have something to offer. Instead, he's running around tackling young fellas. And it was actually, I actually saw this. It looked pretty bad. He was put in an ambulance.
They stopped the game for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, rough stuff. Again, Patton, he's got a big future ahead, so hopefully that's a quick bounce back.
I suppose you can only assume probably a pretty bad break.
If the ambulance coming, it looked lower leg. I mean, hopefully no compound or anything, but just a small fracture. They've also lost Rowan Marshall, who's over the last couple of years become one of the premier ruckmen, top 5 ruckmen. Moves
can
well,
go forward and be
goes
handy.
forward with Paddy Ryder. That's what makes St Kilda so good. That
1-2 punch.
Absolutely, one goes forward, one dominates the ruck, and Marshall gets his hands on the footy and uses it quite well. So Saints playing finals last year, they got a win in the finals. They beat the Bulldogs, which was bullshit. Bloody umpires, piece of shit.
Gay.
I'm not salty at all. But also GWS, Lockie Whitfield, in's out for round 1. I think that's just a calf or a hammy there. No?
Do you know what happened here?
No?
He's got a bruised liver.
Wasn't it? Oh, no, I'm thinking, yeah. What was this?
You remember old Pepsi and his old spleen?
Yeah. Spleeno.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the old organ injury sometimes. He was, I think, backing into a pack in an intra-club and copped a knee.
Right in the sweet spot. Just, in between the rib.
Sort of below the rib and above the hip, and you've got a little bit of squishy stuff around there.
Peps, I remember going down the courageous Pizzulo going back with the flight. Yes. Yeah. Shout out Tuggeranong Hawks. Tuggeranong Football Club now.
Yeah, and I think his liver got a little bit of a knock. It seems like there's nothing serious.
No punctured lung or anything. I think it's just
obviously anything involving organs,
internal.
You want to be quite mindful of. So they think he might miss round 1 or round 2.
Yeah, that he should be back. He's made himself one of the premier players in the competition as well.
Indeed.
Braden Pruce, much more unlucky though. He was the recruit they've brought in to hopefully bolster the ruck stocks.
I think they said he might be there.
Yeah, he was going to. He made his name at North Melbourne. Obviously, North Melbourne of Todd Goldstein, who's been one of the best ruckmans for 10 years. And then it was a bit of a weird one. Pruce, in free agency, went to Melbourne, who obviously have Max Gawn.
Yeah, you're probably not knocking him off for the number one. Right?
But apparently he just wants to work at his craft, and he wanted to challenge the best ruckman. So he's been behind Goldstein, behind Gawn. You're not going to get a better apprenticeship.
Have a look at him.
And then he's done his shoulder at training, so it's a full Reco, just like Bukowski, right. And it's looking like the whole year for him.
He is a fucking huge human
He's a thick unit. He's not traditionally tall. I don't think he's 200 centimetres, but he'd be about 196, I reckon, but he is thick. He is
pretty decent.
Oh, yeah, he's a big fella.
When you consider like guys like Gawn are like 208.
Big man. So different types, but he's just a hulking man, and they obviously had Shane Mumford there for a while, so they that big enforcer with that gun midfield.
He's 216.
He is. Oh, he is. There you go. So
around about 116 kg.
Yeah, like so a big.
That's a big AFL player.
Big AFL footballer.
So for him to be doing a shoulder, he must have copped a big hit, or obviously coming down from a pack. I had no idea he was that big. So.
Big man. So, wishing him all the best with his rehab, and hopefully seeing him running around in 2022.
Bit of good news though with Mad Jack Dorr. He said with the way COVID sort of worked with the AFL list, they've been cut down, but they've been granted a couple spots for late pre-season. So Mad Jack Dorr, formerly of North Melbourne, it's looking like it's all but signed that he's going to make the Demons list, or Melbourne Footy Club list now. He's had this bloke's book. I mean, he's only a young fella, but the story he has had, he was obviously the first Sudanese player to come across,
which I believe was 2011.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
54 games in 10 years.
Yeah, so he never look. God, he's got a rig on him. If you can see some photos of him at the beach.
Specimen.
Yeah,
I once bumped into him at the Narooma Golf Club. Shout out to the Narooma Golf Club. He is 4 centimeters taller than me, and 20 kilos of lean muscle
and a rig
and talent.
And
just an absolute physical specimen. Had an absolutely horror run with injuries and being in and out of the side, and then obviously
the mental health stuff that came through. But this is part of this amazing story. I mean, just to run through it quickly. Obviously, had some mental health battles. Ended up jumping off the Bolt Bridge, I think it was in Melbourne. That was only. Not 2 years ago. Would have been 2 years ago.
Months,
shattered his pelvis, shattered
December
his hip.
18.
There you go. So.
So 2 years.
Yeah. So.
2 and a bit. Yeah.
So the poor bloke. I mean, and apparently he's in the ER, and it was you're not going to walk again. He's got his mind right. He's got his body right. And I remember his first game back, he kicked a goal, and just the elation on his face, and then you've got 17 other blokes get around you, which is
running in.
And that's you love. We've both played footy together, Peps. That's why you play. You play with
indeed.
And that feeling of brotherhood. So looking to get on the Demons spot. Obviously, we were talking about Ben Brown. Probably first month might not be fully fit or missing some games. Majak swung forward last year and actually showed a little bit. So could be. I can't imagine he's in the best 18, but if given a chance, he's persevered over everything so far.
Yeah. It'd be a great story if he made the list.
Oh, absolutely. You got to keep these stories in the AFL. There's too much bad. We've just gone through injuries. We talk about the Eddie Maguire situation, mental health, concussions, all this bad.
The comparison to the NRL and what they're going
exactly
through.
Like good in sport.
Yeah,
good in sport is great. And we love talking about this stuff. That's why we do this stuff. We want to talk about the good stuff. So
definitely.
Good luck to Mad Jack. Good luck to the footy. I mean, I can't wait. It's starting to heat up.
Very close now.
Yeah,
under a month till.
It's crazy.
Game.
So it sounds like fans are going to be able to get in now. This lockdown's been done from Mr. Andrews. So
the short one.
Cannot wait. God, there's nothing too much in middle of February for the footy. Just teams starting to ramp up. Some intra clubs behind doors are starting, and some cross team. Some teams are organising with themselves some pracky matches. But NAB Cup should start in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
The last thing I want to touch on with Majak was he was the first Sudanese player to play in the AFL. Guys like Alir, obviously Sydney Swans picks himself these days.
He's now at Port Adelaide this year. He's swapped over to Port Adelaide this year.
Former Swans player. picked himself in their back six the last 2 years. Mabior Chol coming through there at the Tigers. Ruben Williams showing a little bit of promise there at the Brisbane Lions. There's a lot of Sudanese guys.
Yeah, athletic. I mean, you think about the tall build. We talk about Majak, filling out that body. And it's great. Grow the game.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. And Majak, the word pioneer, 100%.
Paved the way for those guys. So would love to see him make that list. And just from, I suppose, where he was in a headspace kind of way a few years ago, I think he's got a little bub these days. Yeah. Just would love to see him thriving and doing well in this league.
100%. That's World AFL.
Just back on Ben Patton, he's out for the season.
It is. So
that's a bad break.
Bad break.
So he's fractured his fibula.
I was going to say, is it fibula? Because that's bad.
Yeah, both bone.
Tib fib.
Again, a good young player who's in that 22 and a team that's trying to push for top 4. Yeah. And for an incident like that,
what do you reckon going through Ruffy's head?
Ruffy's head he'd be filthy. Like that's and that's it seems you lose that play for the year. Everyone saw that happen. That was, that takes a bit to get over. Oh God, that's our back pocket. But it's also, oh God, that could have been avoided. That just happened. So this is where the mindset, the mentality, that positive mindset has to come in. But
all the best to Ben Patton with his recovery.
You mentioned Nabcat before. Is there going to be NEFL this year?
No, so the NEFL has been scrapped. It's been disbanded. So
anything replacing it?
Yeah, so the Eastern, it's pretty much what the AFL wanted. I've got my opinions on the NEFL, but we do not have enough time here. My girlfriend needs to see me tonight at some time. So it's pretty much the VFL has added and incorporated the Eastern teams. So both Queensland teams, both Sydney teams. And I don't think it even has all the VFL teams in it, just sort of the AFL affiliated ones. So that's what they sort of wanted all along, and tried to get a foot in Canberra, but it just sort of went through and ripped through AFL Canberra. And again, we won't do that. We won't do that now.
Do you think the quality of the Canberra and Sydney and Brisbane AFL will lift after this?
No, I think it's gone the other way. Right now, it's gone the complete other way. I mean, I know just from people I know and talking to people I know, I mean, the players left in AFL Canberra aren't anywhere near the standard they were 5 years ago. They've gone country. They've gone to make money. That's where the money is. In trying to bring equality in, you've actually cost yourself. So it's sad to see as a Canberran who absolutely loves his AFL, loved the footy club I played at growing up. But look, it is what it is. AFL, money rules all. So here we are. I think for that second tier competition, it's great. You're actually going to see the reserve players going up against each other, and then your academy players coming through.
Guys actually fight for spots.
The grassroots footy, unfortunately, is what suffers. So.
Yes.
What about Tasmanian footy as well?
Well, they're holding pretty strong, Tasmania. I think they came out and saying, we're not going to host games anymore unless we get a team. They've put that to the AFL. So
what happened there?
They literally just said we won't be hosting games.
Hawthorn and North Melbourne have games, much like GWS play in Manuka. So Tasmania are a major sponsor of Hawthorn. They've pulled their sponsorship. They're in the. It may still be under contract, but they've said
not extended it or not renewed.
Yeah, exactly. We want a team, otherwise there's no footy. So I don't know what leverage they have to be doing that.
I don't know.
The Hawthorn Footy Club can well afford to play all their games at the G. So
North Melbourne's probably
they're the ones who suffer again. They've sold games to Canberra and to Tasmania. So I think that's probably what they're attacking. Do North Melbourne move to Tasmania is the chat. So if I was a North fan, I would hate that and be against that. But
stranger things would happen.
Exactly right. So. There you go. Maybe there is a bit going on in the AFL in February. Wait till July on the Esky. It'll be heating up.
Oh, my goodness.
Definitely.
Wait till March.
But, yeah.
All right, I think that'll finish the AFL and the domestic sports for now. I think we'll move international and kick off with the NFL. And right after we finished the podcast last week, one of the big stories, JJ Watt was released from the Texans instead of trying to trade for someone.
This. Yeah, that was good, Sean.
I was just like, I thought maybe they'd get something late, but obviously, I think they've done JJ a solid. They've basically said, hey, you've been a great custodian for our club, for our team, and, we'll let you go. It's probably not great for the Texans overall.
No, I think, and we talked about them being a basket case last week. How can you let JJ Watt leave for nothing? You can't tell me they don't get a second round pick at the worst.
Even later, you can get a fourth round pick for him, easy.
Exactly. Or, there's been talking about the Steelers, and we'll probably approach that a bit later, but like the Steelers, someone with pick 30, or they're going to give you pick 30 for JJ Watt. Like, you could have got something. Get something.
You could have got something versus nothing.
And JJ came out and he released this nice video on Twitter thanking the fans and thanking everything.
That was quite wholesome, actually.
But the whole chat was, he said to them, all right, I want to release this video and be the one to tell them, we're doing you a solid, we're releasing you. They were the ones who announced it first. So, and apparently he was so pissed off at that he wasn't even able to be the one who released it. So they didn't do him a solid at all.
That's Houston being Houston at the moment. They're a basket case.
They're all over the shop.
Yeah,
so
we'll get to Deshaun Watson in a minute, but it's crazy. And following on from that, I think they've said at least a dozen teams, maybe up to 20 teams of the league are interested in JJ Watt, which is a good fair shout. I think JJ Watt, of course, will probably want to go to a team that's going to compete.
Yep. Obviously, a lot of chat around him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers to play alongside his brother.
The Browns have come. I think there's been one that's come out very recently.
He's a Wisconsin boy. Would he want to go to the Green Bay Packers? Word on the street is that the Steelers and the Packers may not have the cap room to afford him.
Yeah, and we'll get to. So there's been a lot of movement of some less. It's starting to start with free agency 3 weeks away. Guys are getting cut. So there's teams who have worked out, the number is going to be maybe 180, 185. It's not going to be the 220 we thought. We need to clear space, and big name guys are starting to move on or won't be extended or won't be re-signed. And there's a lot of them. We've only got a small subset of guys that have actually been cut, but there's a lot of movement.
Well, I think before we jump on, as of right now, I think there's 12 teams with 15 million cap right now. You think of JJ Watt, Texans just released him from a $17 million hit. He's obviously going to come down from that. He's 32.
But best still be double digits
behind him. It'll be a $10 million deal. Yeah. So the amount of teams that can afford him, I think it's 10 or 11 right now. Obviously, there's roster moves, as you say, Sean. He's only going to want to go to a contender. So if it's someone like Jacksonville, he's not going to go there. He's not going to go anywhere like the Jets or anything. So all of a sudden, the teams that he's going to actually, he might think he's got, I've got the pick of the choice, but there might be 8. And again, they're all contenders. So he will go to a good team. He will make a team better. But
it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a deal that's maybe a bit more backloaded, where it's like take the Steelers for example. Let's say it's $7 million this year that he gets
incentive based, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe incentive based. Hey, we win a Super Bowl, we get more money. Maybe there's a decent signing bonus in it, which is then spread out through over back end years, which he may never actually play, but they can work it out then and make it future problem versus current problem. Do a run. I think a few teams will definitely look at it and be like, hey, he's a piece we can add to then possibly make a run.
He's a beast in the middle and a pass rusher. I've heard the Rams have been really keen. So imagine you put Aaron Donald and JJ Watt.
And you got Brockers on the other side.
Exactly right. Like that's,
imagine that.
You're not running
Aaron
the ball.
Donald and JJ Watt.
So I mean, what's got to prioritize? Like obviously he wants to be contender. He wants to win the Super Bowl. That's one. How important do you want to play with you? I'm sure they want to play together, but how important is that? And then money.
Yeah.
Like we can sit here and say, you'd take the $4 million cap to go there. $4 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, like if anyone wants to give me $4 million or on the Esky $4 million, we'll take that.
And I've heard people say, he's made $100 million already in his career. Now it's time to win a Super Bowl. Well, again, that's coming from someone who obviously isn't getting offered $4 million to earn it.
It's a lot of money.
I reckon that happens sooner rather than later. I think if you can afford JJ Watt,
so someone's got to pick him up.
You get him in quick before teams do open up some space.
On that, Chicago Bears.
What's another good one? Yeah.
His missus plays for the Chicago Red Stars.
That's right.
They do have about 10 mil cap space.
Khalil Mack and JJ Watt.
True, but they got no quarterback. So
again, are they going to win?
They're not a playoff team this year. They're a quarterback away.
It's almost like you've got a checklist where you can go through and say, are they in playoff contention? Well, I think you can rule that out.
All right, maybe we'll skip ahead because you've given me a great segue because it's come out a bit that Bears might be a front runner for Wentz. So maybe... sorry to jump all over that. I meant to get on this earlier. He actually came out and said, I will not be playing for the Chicago Bears. Oh, there you go.
So he doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to play for them?
Where do you think he ends up?
Well, Colts have offered two second-round picks for him. Eagles, I think, are still holding out for a Stafford-type deal, which is probably not going to happen, unfortunately, for them because Wentz is more on his regression, whereas Stafford's definitely shown, a decade of
I don't know if Wentz is on regression. Like, obviously, he had a shit season.
Oh, well, he's had since he got injured. Leading into their Super Bowl year, he hasn't been real great since then. Like his numbers compared pre and post injury are very different.
Okay.
So if you bring him on, you're a club that thinks you can rehab him. Which maybe you put him with kind of good offensive line, get him some weapons that yes you can fix him up, but his rating I think in like a clean pocket was the worst this year.
I did hear that.
I think
he's definitely struggled this year.
I'm one of the people who are on an island here. And people, if you're a Philadelphia fan, you would hate him. If he's on the Colts, and I'll get into some bets I've put on later. But I think you can win with Carson Wentz. I think Philadelphia's roster right now stinks. Their receivers stink. Their offensive line was trash. Who's their running back?
Sanders
he was pretty good, but he's banged up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and he can't play defense. Like, I reckon we've got a Ryan Tannehill on our hands. I think we can have a comeback. His money he's on to his production is awesome. Young. That's always going to come into it. Being a bloke who had Joe Flacco as your quarterback, that's what's going to happen. Yes. You say you're making this much and you're doing this. That's wrong.
Which I think is one of the issues with Wentz is his cap number is ginormous. It's more than Stafford's was. So,
that's why teams aren't going to give you a Matt Stafford deal to bring on that number for that. So Philadelphia have no leverage there. And I think, and Hurts could be anything, but I don't think there's much there.
That Ryan Tannehill comparison is very interesting because you have to think back when he was on the Dolphins. People used to heap that much shit on him.
Yeah, he's used to it.
He was the problem. They needed to draft someone. He sucks.
8th overall pick. He stinks. And now all of a sudden, MVP candidate. Look what he can do with Derrick Henry because you've got a 2,000-yard rusher behind you.
He's got
You're in an environment which suits you.
Yeah, unbelievable running back and a reasonable offense.
Offensive
and a good
line.
system.
You've got A.J. Brown and Corey Davis on the outside. Like, they've got weapons.
They won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback. So their team was sick. They obviously had a very good team. They've lost a lot of pieces. Their team is banged up. They paid the wrong people.
Line was decimated.
Yeah, exactly right.
Coach is gone. So yeah.
So I think Philadelphia are spiraling down. They're going to want to try and get something back for Carson Wentz. I am telling you, if the Colts can land Carson Wentz, that's a good team.
Yeah, I think so.
Their roster is stacked.
Already,
they won't have to give up much for him. I thought the Bears were a perfect fit for him, but he said he doesn't want to play. I don't know why he's calling the shots, but
he may have a no trade clause in his contract.
It could be some of that. When you get paid something that big, I imagine you put stuff in there as well. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, lovely segue.
I know. Well, I think we need to finish off on this JJ. This tweet about it. His support of his brother winning Defensive Player of the Year award. Well, possibly thought he had more tackles, more sacks, more tackles for loss, and more pass knockdowns than Donald did this year. But of course, Aaron Donald won this award. What are your boys' thoughts?
Well, I think JJ, the caption was, "I'm just going to say what my brother won't say," which
is good. But and they're pretty good. They've got a bit of banter online. They've never actually played on the same field together.
Really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So they grew up together, went to the same college. JJ's quite a bit older, but never.
Where did they go to college?
Wisconsin.
They both went to
They're both Wisconsin.
They're from Wisconsin, so I that's why I think the Packers are.
I think JJ's 6 years older than him.
Rogers tweeted.
There's a fair gap between.
Rogers tweeted something about JJ Watt coming. He put out a tweet today or yesterday saying free agency is insane or free agency is awesome. So his phone would be blowing up. Imagine all the people. Like we said, he's a pretty outgoing guy. He's fun. He'd have a mates in the league.
Put out the cheese.
My only thinking on this was it's probably a problem for Aaron Donald, just because he's in comparison. Like, he won Defensive Player of the Year this year, but when he won it, not last year, but the year before.
Before Stephen Gilmore.
That season compared to this season is so much better. So, like, he's a product of his own, it's an error of his own success. Like,
and
you compare the two and go, this one wasn't as great as that one, so why is he winning the award when guys like TJ? I think Xavier Howard was probably hard done by. First guy in 12 years, I think we worked it out to take 10 picks.
Yeah, double-digit picks. Sometimes you do get held to your own account, I suppose, there, Sean. I think also you have to think that sport in general, as much as we like to analyse numbers, it's not just numbers.
Exactly right.
This guy gets a double team, he gets a triple team every single snap.
There is that,
and that's when the analytics
different
come
to what
in.
TJ does.
The percentage, like that's obviously they're the Madden stats that come up.
Yes.
And TJ Watt's insane. I think he was runner up. JJ Watt's his brother, of course. Who's JJ Watt going to think wins defensive player?
He's his big brother.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't think that's a knock on anything. I think it's just interesting that. And the Pittsburgh fans are really excited, like, oh my God, we're going to have 2 Watts on our offensive line. Your offense needs work, I'll tell you that much in Pittsburgh, but don't worry about that.
Yes. Well, there's still talk about Big Ben, and his contract's going to have to come down a substantial number if they want to keep him. So we'll have to follow that and see how that goes.
Be interesting to see what happens there.
Yes,
Trevor Lawrence.
They've got nothing else otherwise. Actually, I think Deshaun Watson was the next. Macca
Paul,
wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we were talking about Deshaun Watson and obviously all this trade noise that's coming up. He was caught in Miami partying with a few of his old Clemson teammates, and Miami are rumored to be the front runners for Watson. And you think about that team, they won 10 games this year, missed out on the playoffs. Tua were not quite what we think, which I think is harsh.
He's developing.
Exactly. He's played 9 games. Like, we've got to give these guys a little bit more time. However, if you can get Deshaun Watson in the door, so here's a proposed deal for you. Pick 3, which the Dolphins have, pick 18, which the Dolphins have, and Tua for Deshaun.
Ooh.
Do you do that deal?
I think it's not enough. And the reason I say it is, yes, I'd go more first-round picks. And my issue is those first-round picks are in this year's draft. I'd want to move them into subsequent drafts.
Oh, you pick 3 in this draft. I'd take that every day of the week. You get Penei Sewell. He's a gun left tackle. The beauty for the Dolphins is pick 3 came from the Houston Texans for Larry Tunsil. So that's essentially a free pick for them. So that's what I think Houston would say, no, we need more because we're actually not gaining anything from that pick. We're getting back our own pick.
And Stafford, of course, went for, what was his? It was 2 and 3.
Again, the golf contract
a lot in that.
made way too much. Well. This is a bloke who says, I'm not playing for you.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything yet. They don't have to move. Free agency's a while away. The draft's a while away.
They definitely said they don't want to do, like, well, we're not trading him, blah, blah, blah.
They can wait, and they will wait. Yeah.
It's going to be, like you say, it's the supply and demand. Like, there's going to be a lot of demand, but since Watson kind of controls where he can go, he's that demand then gets diminished, which then means
exactly right. It needs to sort of say, will you go to Miami? Yes, you'll go to Miami. Okay, well, that's what we have to lock into. That's what we can get the best back.
Yeah.
Carolina in the mix for Deshaun Watson. They've got that new owner who's a billionaire. He wants to win now. He wants to be splashy.
Exactly. They're looking to move Teddy.
Exactly,
well,
but does he want to go to? Does he want to leave Houston, who are a basket case, and go to Carolina, who
slightly better? But you got CMC, but if he's healthy,
and then outside of that, they've got a young defense which is coming. Yeah, and not anytime soon. Like, I don't think he adds 5 wins to Carolina. No. They were 5-11 team. They're not going to have any draft picks to add to that. So I think Miami is smart. That was the betting that was putting on earlier. I put a multi on the Colts and Miami to win their respective divisions. Got a juicy $9 for that. So stay tuned on the Esky, and I'll be buying some new podcast gear for the boys.
Very good. Moving on. So Trevor Lawrence, there's pro days coming up. Most of the pro days are actually in March. Trevor Lawrence brought his forward. Had a workout on Tuesday, I think it was. He measured in a little bit lighter than people thought. He was
213.
6'6", 213. I think what they're saying, because he had this workout earlier because he needed shoulder surgery on his left shoulder, which is his non-throwing shoulder. Mm-hmm. The thinking is maybe he couldn't lift weights, so he couldn't have maintained his weight or put on a little bit of weight. I think they're thinking he's maybe going to be more like 220, but even still, he's a little bit lean. So I'd look to see him maybe towards the draft. And, I don't think they'll remeasure him, actually, now I think about it, because he's going to take 6 to 8 weeks until he's recovered. Then it's probably going to be another 4 to 5 months until he actually gets clearance to throw again. Surgery, I think I saw a report surgery went well. He's recovering fine. It's looking like he will be right for the start of the season, for the start of training camp. It's quite interesting watching the workout because Urban Meyer is standing like 3 yards in front of him watching every single pass. So it looks like, it's not a guy going down to the dealership for the first time. He's there taking the car out for a drive. I think he's ready. He's all in.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence looks
dropping bombs.
Yeah, he looks really good. My concerns watching this was his footwork was probably a little bit slow. I'm nitpicking here. Footwork a little bit slow, but you get that a little bit with the taller guys, a bit more gangly. Arm strength, he didn't throw a ball over 50 yards from throwing to catching, but it's still plenty. You're not going to throw it.
One of those last couple.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice.
You sure?
Yeah, I did the math.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I've got no concerns with his arm strength.
The throwing power on the seams, the posts, those 20, 30 yards throws, absolutely excellent.
Look at that.
He can zip it in. Yeah. So maybe he's not going to throw a 70, 80-yard bomb like Mahomes or Josh Allen is.
I don't think quite their arm strength.
Different. Yeah, it's different quarterback.
Different type of quarterback, though. Yes.
If you remember that. And I've just taken piss that you may have talked about it. The national championship 2 years ago, he had about halfway and he ran away from everyone, scored a touchdown, and was outrunning defensive backs. Like, he is an athletic.
He is very athletic
beast, and that hair.
Oh my goodness!
The biggest news story will be when he actually cuts his hair short, and we'll have to see if that ever
reminiscent
happens.
of Sunshine of remember the Titans.
Well, remember Tom Brady had long hair for a little while.
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling was
he was in the movie.
He was in the movie, different position.
Back get on with that bottle.
It'll be interesting to see. God, I forgot what I was going to say.
Lawrence, you got lost in his hair. I understand. We're only human. You just have a look at him,
flicking those golden locks.
He is the most.
I do remember now.
Urban Meyer doesn't take this job if they aren't picking Trevor Lawrence.
Like.
Exactly.
In the group, he's watching it very, very closely.
If you are a team other than the Jaguars and you're watching this, you just wanted to hang out at Clemson, or you wanted to watch the receivers catching the ball.
There's Urban there.
Because there's no point watching Trevor Lawrence because you're not going to get him. The
Jordan Palmer, of course, the quarterback coach.
He's a bit of a guru. Carson's brother, college analyst. He's worked with. He worked with Josh Allen, in that off year. Apparently, he's working with Lamar this year, which gets everyone excited in this room. Lawrence couldn't be closer to a lock first round pick. Like, there's no point. It's like the Jets are on the clock with pick 2.
Yeah,
because it's
you'd think so. Yeah,
if the Jaguars take up that whole 15 minutes or whatever they get, it's bullshit.
So they just showed his record there, 32-2. 2 of those losses, of course. He lose? No, 2 of those losses. One this year, of course, to Ohio State, not making it into the national championship, and then the other one losing in the national championship. Only
LSU.
Against LSU. So in the last 3 years, his first year of starting is the year they won.
He won as a freshman, lost in the Natty to Joe Burrow and LSU, and then lost in the
to Justin
Fields. So that
what do you think his big game potential is? As I'm just thinking, is possibly one criticism as like a leader of a team like Clemson, one of the best teams in college football. He didn't have a great game against Ohio. He started off well against LSU, but then LSU came on real strong in the second half, and they just couldn't stay with them. So just maybe that's one of his criticisms is his big game potential. But
it's not bad. I don't hate that because it's been so perfect. But I think you get nitpicky with when it's such a home run. You go, well, he made the natty and didn't go great. Oh,
and I was just nitpicking. His footwork's probably a little bit slow compared to if you watch Peyton Manning's footwork, it's electric.
100%. And this is what happens, and it's currently happening with sort of Zach Wilson is the hot thing. So he's coming up, whereas Trey Lance was the hot thing. He hasn't played. Mm-hmm. He's going down
and playing in a lower division.
FCS. So we're criticizing Trevor Lawrence on 2 losses. There, he's 2 losses. Like, you want to talk about big game potential? He's lost 2 games. So I like, it's completely different games again, college. But yeah, I'm so excited to see this. I hate seeing basket cases in any league.
He doesn't come across as like a Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell.
No.
I think you're going to be all right in that regard.
He changes this team, and again, we talk about the Texans being a basket case. Now you add Trevor Lawrence into this division. This is why the Colts bet is looking good, boys. I'm telling you. Like, the Jags will be all right, but they've got a rookie quarterback. Titans,
they need to buy well, I'd say, in free agency and draft well, and then we can discuss whether they can bounce back. And maybe they're a 10-6 kind of team.
Yeah, so we'll they've got a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach.
Go like 15 minutes.
So yeah, cool. It's cool to see. Like, this guy could be the next Peyton Manning, which would be awesome. Like, and then we get to watch him. That's just what I get excited about. So there you go. He had more rushing touchdowns than interceptions.
That's ridiculous.
That's not bad for your
quarterback. And I think it is a bit nitpicky as well, Sean, going back to his big game potential. It's a small sample size. It's 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, he won the Natty as a freshman.
Yeah. There's 50 something other guys out there that are on the same side.
Exactly. The quarterback does a lot, but he can't do everything.
I think any Trevor Lawrence hate is devil's advocate.
Oh, absolutely. But it's needed. Yeah. It's needed in the room.
You want to analyse. You want to.
Yeah. We can say he's not absolutely perfect. No. So, he's pretty bloody close.
Fucking close.
He's fucking close.
Yeah. So
I think he got engaged as well and is due to get married very, very soon too.
Congratulations.
Come on, man. Like, God. What are you getting married now for? You're about to hit your prime. God, imagine the numbers this man could put up. I'm sorry, but God.
You wonder I think he's been with his missus a long time as well.
Sweetheart.
She must be a hell of a woman. But
otherwise his body count would be astronomical.
With that hair. But I guess talking about the next level, who in the NFL currently is sort of
is it Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Well, this is probably one of the issues for Trevor is tall quarterbacks haven't been overly successful. Like Peyton at 6'5" was one of the few of the bigger, but guys that usually go over that 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah. Well, Mike Glennon.
6'6".
Mike Glennon,
first one that comes to mind for me.
Again, I think we're nitpicking.
But
those guys you talk about can't move in a
Tom Brady's 6'4". Yeah.
Yes.
We're talking about 5 centimetres here. We're talking about 2 inches.
And all those guys can't move in the pocket. Like I'm telling you,
2
this
inches
guy
is important.
has wheels.
2 inches.
Oh, here we go. Sean's been very R-rated this this
if you add 2 inches, it might bring it to 3.
Here we are, wedding week.
Anyway. Sarah, if you're listening, well done, darling.
Yeah, 2 hours. Good job.
You're locked in for another 55, 60 years. Congratulations to you.
Trevor Lawrence, he will be good for the next 15 years.
Let's stop man crushing over Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
All right.
What else has happened? Kawan Short?
Yeah, Kawan Short has played 8 seasons.
Hall of Famer.
8 seasons for Panthers. He's been to Pro Bowl 3 of those. He's only played 5 games, though, in the last 2 years, so he's officially been released by the Panthers.
Injury ravaged.
Trying to move on. One of the first big signings, as in contract-wise, All-Pro kicker for Jason Sanders for the Miami Dolphins signed a 5-year, $22 million extension through to 2026.
I think that makes
for the brand.
I think that makes him the 3rd highest paid kicker ever.
Marvelous job there.
Congratulations to you.
I don't think he missed a kick this year. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time talking about kickers, but he was lights out this year.
Wow.
There was a cool...
kickers are people too, Joseph.
No, they are not. Hey, I've got the greatest kicker of all time, and no. Outside of Justin Tugger, I don't want to talk about kickers.
I think it's a great deal for him.
Tickers.
I
got a tick.
It's a great deal for him, I guess, coming into also with the cap number possibly reintroduced, like getting his before that all becomes official was a great
Before Deshaun Watson signed.
So a few kind of big names. There's multiple, actually. There's a whole bunch of reports about teams like they're probably not going to resign guys just because of where they are and where, the numbers wise. So there's going to be a lot of veterans, it looks like, available for free agency, which is going to make free agency very, very interesting.
Bit saucy.
Two names to kind of pick out was Patrick Peterson, who didn't have a great year, unfortunately, for the Cards. I think he, PFF had him like 90 out of 130 corners.
PF.
Yeah. That's if you follow PFF. But sounds like the Cards may not re-sign him, so he could be on the market. 31 years old, so a little bit old for a corner, but
he's definitely slowed down.
As you do at that age, but he's still
veteran talent,
in my opinion.
Get him as
he's one we were talking about last week. I think he's one who could shift to safety and actually read the field a lot well. I mean, he's got the history of
got some size,
kicking, return kicks. Yep. Like he's got that vision,
and he's quite a large corner.
You'd
think,
I think he could play number 2 on a team easily.
Yeah.
If give someone else the premier wide receivers, and he's going to lock down whoever your number 2 is. And maybe try to transition him to safety. See how that goes.
What's going on with Allen Robinson? Because he has been the shining light on a otherwise dormant Chicago Bears.
Maybe
offense.
another reason why Wentz said I'm not going to play for the Bears, because it sounds like the Bears are not going to look to offer him a long-term extension. Maybe again, cap number.
Money. Yeah. Like you said, they've got 10 million. They've got 10 million. He'll make money on the open market. I think he's
good. He's a legitimate receiver.
And he's come from Jacksonville. Who was throwing the ball to him? Who was it? Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Now Mitch Trubisky's throwing the ball, and look, if you look at his numbers. Yeah. He's got great numbers with those guys throwing him the ball. If he lands on, a Ravens or something, he could make,
Paging Green Bay Packers. Paging Green Bay Packers.
Packers are perfect kind of position for him, but
money will be for him.
Yeah,
you're going to have to pay Allen Robinson.
He wants to get paid.
He's in the prime. He'll make $15 million. Yeah. Someone like, it's gross, but like the Jets have the most money. They'll throw it at him. But if they get Justin Fields, that's attractive. They've got, I don't know, the Jets seem to have pieces. They've got lots of draft picks this year as well. So, they're two of the bigger names.
So, interesting story. The next one up, the Pouncey brothers have decided to retire together, both aged at 31.
Fancy the twins.
They're not just brothers. They're
twins.
Tips I want over there.
Of course, drafted in different years.
A couple. I'm getting married in 2 days. Jeez, we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, some freedom. So drafted.
Run us through this, Sean.
Yeah, drafted a year apart. How do you say? Is it Marquise?
Marquise.
Yeah.
That's very
Marquise.
good.
Come on. I was like, I can do Mike.
Can't say Brait.
Yeah. Marquise. He was drafted 18th overall in 2010 out of Florida, of course. He spent his whole season at the Steelers. Was probably considered the premier of the two brothers, but both have had great careers. He had 134 games, 9 Pro Bowls. He's been banged up. I think Mike was the one that had more injuries, so I'd have to double check. One of them's got really bad hips.
Yeah, I think it was Mike.
I think Mike's had the bad hips. He was drafted in 15th overall in 2011, taking 3 spots ahead of where his brother was. Mm-hmm. Of course, out of Florida. He played for the Dolphins and then played this year, I think, at the Chargers, but didn't play very much for them. He played 114 games total, 4 Pro Bowls. So I wonder if it was just like, he's done, and he's like, hips are done. I don't think I can keep going. And his brother's like, yeah, well, I've made money.
They are very close.
They're very close. It's like, let's go do some other shit and do it together.
They're part of that, and it's that wild Florida team coming out of college. It had Aaron Hernandez, these boys.
Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
Yeah, can you believe it or not?
Shout out. That's good.
Sean's on. Here we go. It's wedding week, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Who do we have? The Pounceys, Aaron Hernandez, and there's gang relations there. There was that Riley Cooper who got booted out for racism.
Yes.
Cam Newton was on there.
Yep.
As the backup, and Tim Tebow and Holy was their leader. Like that.
Our Lord and Savior.
And Urban Meyer was the coach. So that was their college. That's
a shit hot Florida team.
Yeah. They won back to back.
Yeah, they won back to back. Yes.
I guarantee you they both decided that together.
Yeah.
We're done. Like they're that close. So
I think both clubs, so Steelers definitely, I think were bit shell-shocked by this because they're losing their starting centre. Chargers, we're probably looking as Mike to hopefully come back and be a centrepiece for them.
But again, 31, and we're talking about it's earlier and earlier. I mean, when you're not Tom Brady or Drew, when you're a quarterback and you're a coach on the field, these players are getting banged every single play. I'm putting my head down and getting hit.
Yep.
I've made my, $60 million. I've probably invested it well. I'm good. I'm set for life.
Yep.
I'm going to go enjoy life. I'm still 31. I can still actually go travel and enjoy.
How many offensive snaps does an offensive team take every year?
8 or 900.
I think it's over 1,000.
Well, depends.
Depends on how good your offense is, I guess.
800. I'd say 800.
So you're talking between 8 to 1,000 times a year that you're having to, block someone like Aaron Donald, JJ Watt,
And your head, you're at the center, your head's down. It's coming to me. You've got to be the coach.
You might have a big nose tackle over the top of you,
and no one gives you the love that the quarterback gets as well. You know what? It's actually not worth it.
Everyone knows your name when you stuff up, but no one knows your name when you do it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good when no one knows who you are. Yeah. So
that's why we'd like to shout out the Pouncey brothers on an excellent.
Definitely,
career.
Exactly right.
13 Pro Bowls between the two of them. Yeah. Enjoy retirement, boys.
Would you put 50 to 60 snaps on average per game?
I reckon a good offense would average 60.
Yes.
So
I think Chiefs are averaging easy
600, 960,000.
Yeah, close to 1,000. I think if you play every snap, it's close to 1,000 a year.
Well,
it's a lot of banging heads.
Yep. Yeah. That's 10,000 collisions in a 10-year career.
Do you reckon you'd put the Pouncey brothers into the Hall of Fame together?
I don't think Mike.
I don't think I don't think separately you would, but would you put them together?
Oh, together. Well, if you've played 13 Pro Bowls, you have to go to the you have to go to the Hall of Fame.
One rips off the mask. I've been one player all along.
We played twice a week.
More keys. I don't think either of these guys will end up in the Hall of Fame. But
if you're into it as an interior offensive lineman, you have to be transit.
Indeed. An interesting shout. Twins in the NFL.
Go for it.
Twins Basil.
There's a couple. There's actually three currently. Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin.
Yep.
Obviously Seattle Seahawks defensive backs, and Devin and Jason McCourty also both on the Patriots.
Yep.
And then Jacob and Cody Hollister, I believe, also both on the Patriots. I think all the twins, they stick together.
Twins.
Basil.
Seattle? No.
Jacob's with Seattle at the moment.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of Cody Hollister before again.
No, neither have I. I think he's a wide receiver. He looks a lot like his brother.
The twin looks like his brother. You're wild. I won't hear
strong draw lines. Very strong.
Cody is a wide receiver with the Titans at the moment.
Oh,
Titans
0 for 2. Yeah. Hey, Titans like to poach Patriots players.
True. Well, they got variable there. So
even those who didn't play the Patriots.
They do like to. He was on the Patriots. Look that up.
All right. I think that's enough chat for twins.
We should move to a sadder story.
Yeah, much sadder story. So it was found out during the week that Vincent Jackson had passed away at the age of 38. He was found in a hotel in Brandon, Florida.
Which is Tampa, I believe.
Yes, it sounds like he was down there possibly for the whole playoff run and the Super Bowl and that. Of course, did he play for the Bucks at all?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Before he played for the Chargers. Sounds like he was staying in this hotel for about over a month. Was meant to check out at some point, didn't happen. So his family was put in a missing person. Like, hey, he's been missing. And it's like, well, we checked in this hotel last. Of course, that's where they found him. They found him in the hotel room. So running through some of his stats, like he's an absolute physical specimen.
We were talking about Megatron the other week, and we were trying to find a comparison, and I think we really mulled over the fact that Vincent Jackson is pretty fucking close. 6'5", 240 for our Aussie listeners. Try and imagine someone that's like the size of an elite NRL prop.
Yep.
But he's as quick as the quickest fullback in the NRL. Yes. He was 6'5", 240. Run a 4.46 40. He was an unreal specimen, and actually slipped down to the second round, I believe. Or can you see when he was drafted?
Yeah, he was second round.
So I think he was second round pick from the Chargers. Had 12 seasons in the NFL, mostly with Los Angeles Chargers, and finished up, I think, maybe 4 seasons at the Bucks. Yep. 3-time Pro Bowler, over 9,000 yards, 57 touchdowns. Mate, he was
It was a great player. Yeah. Phil Rivers, that was the connection. But like the pre-Keenan Allen days was Vincent Jackson chucking up. Antonio Gates inside.
Gates was there.
I think he had a bit of LT time. He was part of that Chargers team, we thought. And with Marty Schottenheimer last week, we were talking about him. Like that was a very good team. That again, it's one of those teams that just one thing went wrong. They don't win a Super Bowl. They had Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to deal with. They were always seemed to be the third best team. So he was a physical specimen, great wide receiver.
I think he must have retired at probably around 35. So he's only been out of the league a couple of years.
And it's very sad. It's very sad when anyone passes away. But when someone passes at the age of 38,
So the sheriff has come out today saying that it looks like he'd suffered from chronic alcoholism and that potentially he'd been dealing with CTE for quite a while.
Which isn't confirmed
not confirmed yet. I think it's his family's kind of said it like, yes, he's whether it was CTE, whether it was more depression, but he's had his mental struggles and mental battles.
Perhaps some
turned to the bottle a little bit more than you'd think.
Yeah.
So which is unfortunate.
It's so sad, isn't it? Someone that accomplished and
you definitely see it with players that retire that they can go off the rails because they lose. Again, we're talking about support systems before. Like they lose their identity and what they're all about, what they've been doing for probably 30 odd years. In the case of Vinny, if he starts real young, it's a very big change. If you've got nothing around you, then you can just go off the rails and lose yourself a bit.
Did you read any of the report?
So some of the initial report of when they found Vinny, they talked very much about they're investigating, of course, because a bloke that dies 38, a physical specimen. We're talking about that. It's a bit interesting, but they said in the initial report there was no signs of trauma. So that obviously doesn't mean that
no foul play.
Doesn't look like there's foul play in that point, and it doesn't look like of course if you rule out some of the other methods for suicide as well because there's no form of trauma. So they got to do an autopsy to look into it, which it leads to
some kind of overdose.
Yeah, well, the two options is he's probably either he's overdosed from something, or maybe like his chronic alcoholism, or maybe something his body's given up on him. Has he suffered a unfortunate stroke or a heart attack or something like that? You'd think he's probably in shape, and those two things would rule out, which leads you to the other option, which again is still very unfortunate for the situation for him and of course his family. So
it's so heavy, isn't it?
And again, it's more common. We're talking about it every week here. It's something new. Again, keep it out in the open. If you are listening, if you are struggling, talk to that support network. Everyone's got someone. Talk to anyone. God,
just raise it.
Write in the comments. We will get in touch with you. In all honesty, seriously, it's sometimes you just need to say this stuff out loud. You need to just hear this stuff. Obviously, this guy was a multi-millionaire who had the greatest life ever, and dead before he's 40. So, God, if you are listening, if this voice is the one that trust you to tell someone, just do it. Do it.
Yep. Talk to your friends.
100%.
Check in on your friends. It's fucking incredibly sad that this happens, but let's just focus on how good a football player he was, and
absolutely well said, Pep.
Hopefully, his
some good can come from this as well.
Like good and
more research, more support.
Yeah, hopefully
for those
his family's holding up okay, but incredibly sad story there.
Yes, definitely.
Well said. Let's move into a bit more sport, hey?
What NBA, yes.
NBA.
A lot to cover.
Do you guys want to run through it?
Yeah. We were talking about how close all the teams are sort of for playoff spots.
Are you saying 27 teams look like they could make the playoffs?
Well, realistically, I mean, you could say all 30 mathematically, but I mean, I'm removing Detroit from the conversation, removing Minnesota from the league.
Yep.
And despite our love for Bradley Beal trying his heart out, I don't think Washington can do much damage to anyone. But so you got 27 teams who are legitimately, playing every night for something other than, their millions of dollars or whatever there is,
Just before you move on, I just did see that Russell Westbrook, I think he's got his 7th triple-double for the year, which is 2 less than the record or something for the Wizards. So
for the
Wizards, there you go. He's on the team for 5 minutes.
I wonder how many he got in that year. That he won the MVP.
Oh, well, if he's averaging it, he would have got
30 odd maybe.
At least. Yeah, crazy. So
it sounds like he'll probably own that record, though they're not winning matches at this point.
Well,
Fake stat anyway.
Exactly. Ask me, I'll sit down and I'll give you a good conversation about what a triple-double means. But, we're talking about how close it is. I mean, like I said a bit earlier off air, the Celtics are one game above 500 and they're in 4th spot in the East, which usually you'd think, oh God, the East is a shithole. But no, it's actually quite competitive, and every night we're getting crazy points, but we're getting close games and we're getting upsets, which are turning into not upsets because we've got so many good teams actually vying for it.
Yeah,
so,
and there's a massive logjam in the East. But if you're not the 76ers and you're not the Bucks, and who's running third? The Nets are third. Yeah, the Nets are third.
Nets are second at the moment.
And let's put the Pacers in that conversation. If you're outside of that, there's a huge,
you're in for playoffs.
There's a huge logjam.
Absolutely,
and maybe we're putting a line through the Wizards and the Pistons, but
there you go.
From that top 4 down to 13th, anyone's a go.
Absolutely, and if they do a similar thing like the bubble, which I imagine that's what they're going to go towards with the playoffs, and they have those play-in games where it's actually the top 10. Now, actually, if you can finish 10th, you can get into a bit of a playoff situation, which is, we talk about the dog days of the NBA, you know, right now our teams are beating up on teams. Teams are actually having a crack every night, and we're getting the Kings beating, you know, the team. We're getting, you know, the Bucks are on a 4-game slide at the moment, losing to teams that aren't great. So you have to be on every night. You have to bring it because there's games to play for. So, I mean, let's run through the last week.
Do you want to run through some results?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mavericks and Pelicans put up a lazy 273 points in 4 quarters.
I wonder what the overs was in that.
You'd be filthy if you took the under on that one. You just have to delete the betting app, I reckon.
Sometimes when you look at 224 as an overs, you're going, geez, that's a bit. And then smash that by 50. No overtime in this, mind you. 143, 130. Mavs ran away with this.
I think Zion's been shooting some really good percentages.
Well, it helps when you're dunking everybody. Like, you look at his shot chart is nearly comical if you look at all his green circles.
Dunk. Yeah. Had to go shoot free throws, miss a couple of them.
Dunk. Yeah, exactly right. So he's a beast. He's a specimen, and they're building their offense around his athleticism, which is great because the biggest worry was he's super athletic. Is that going to translate? Well, the Pelicans said, we're picking you first. We're going to mold our offense around you. And they've got guys like Lonzo Ball who just want to pass the ball, Ingram who could score in ISO. So they're building a team. We're talking about in the West that are fun team to watch. They've got good young players, all the Lakers players that they've brought over. They're building a really strong core. And like players putting up crazy stats. And again, we can talk about stats and fantasy ruling the game. But, you know, you got someone like Terry Rozier putting up 41. Like, that's awesome. Like, good on Terry for getting his. Like, he's gone to the Hornets. He's their number 1 marquee player. They're building around him. They're not, I don't know, he's just their veteran who's been on the Celtics. Yeah. He was their backup point guard who's now, you know.
Averaging 21 points a game.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, he's gone from backup point guard. He's had his shot. He's making good money. Yeah. I mean, I probably could have thrown the Hornets in with that crowd that I talked about. But, you know, that's exciting to see there. The Jazz continue their crazy run at the moment. I mean, I keep discrediting them, but every week we come on, they just keep winning.
And beating quality talent too.
Well, exactly right.
So since the last broadcast, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Heat, they beat the 76ers. So
that's playoff teams. That's 3 playoff teams.
Bucks and 76ers, obviously 2 of the top 4 teams in the
Jimmy,
East
can you
currently.
Find out how they did against the Clippers?
And the Heat, obviously last year, the East
finals,
East champions,
reeling at the moment, but still stacked with good players.
You know, they're not going to stand up to the Lakers. They're not going to. They won't be that number 1 team in the West. They're 20-1, 20-1 since January 7. They're 23-5 before that. Obviously, a little bit of a slow start. They're on an 8-game winning streak, and our boy Joe Ingles. He's playing more minutes than he was earlier in the year. He's been averaging about 33, 34 minutes the last week or 2. Donovan Mitchell's looking really good.
And again, we were talking about their team, their construct. It's not built around.
No star.
Donovan's their best player, but
he's not a superstar.
There's people playing defense that they put up shots, they share the ball around, they play attractive
team ball.
Exactly, and
big Rudy Gobert goes up and gets boards.
100%. Doesn't need. It's like there's no diva, there's no prima donna which we associate with the NBA. So
it seems like a great setup.
It's great, and they're playing good ball.
Before we keep singing their praises, how'd they do against the Clippers today?
Yeah, so they beat the Clippers.
114
to 96 to put them on a 9th straight win.
So improve the stats that we just said to 9-game winning streak, 21-1 since early January.
I mean, the Clippers are reeling. Can you give us the Clippers record while you're there, Jim?
I think they're still third, aren't they?
They're still third, but they're just... we talk about the Jazz sharing the ball around, playing good ball. The Clippers are just seem to be going along. And God, I'm a Lakers fan, of course. I'm going to shit down the Clippers' throat. But
also, PG and Kawhi have not played every single game.
But that's been the story since they've brought the two in. They haven't come in and they thought, oh, well, come playoffs, we'll chuck them in and they'll gel. Hasn't worked yet. There's another 12 months, make them better. I mean, I know the Lakers... right now with AD's Achilles, which he's nursing. It's nothing bad, but he's got to watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You don't want to blow it out.
It's a death sentence, apparently.
Yeah, exactly right. So they're going to have to take the foot off the pedal a bit, or they share it around. LeBron's going to have to take more heat. He's going to have to do more. We were talking about
resting them last week. Like, when do we start resting LeBron? Do they get to that point where, like, hey, we're pretty looking good for playoffs, we need to rest him?
Yeah.
But you don't want to burn him out to get to that point. Guy playing his 18th season.
And when teams are bringing it every night, like we say, like we bring it back, you can't rest LeBron. Because
I don't think they do that early on. I think if they get, towards the end of the year and they're going, we're second, we can't come first and we can't come third, then LeBron...
Then you manipulate minutes.
You have 2 nights off.
Yeah,
no worries.
Absolutely.
At this stage of the year, I don't think that's...
But that's great. Like, how good. Like, there's no talk of resting. You have to play well. You have to be able to...
But as the problem becomes, though, if you burn LeBron out getting to that point.
Right.
Like, he's played 50 straight games to get to that point, and then he's just like, I'm stuffed.
It hasn't happened for 18 years, so if it does happen this year, then he deserves a bloody blowout, to be honest, because he is MVP right now, to be honest. Like,
deserves his MVP.
He does. He honestly does. Like, I can't imagine anyone. Well, there is probably one man, and I do need to give him some credit, and it is James Harden. And again, I've been hard on the Nets. I have said they're not going to cop too much. I'm skipping down here. I'm jumping all over the place here. But the Nets have looked so good lately, and
they just seem to gel all of a sudden.
They've gel, and Kyrie came out and he said, and their biggest thing is you've got Durant, Irving, Harden. They need the ball in their hands. That's what they do their best. Yeah. Irving came out and said, I'm the shooting guard. James is the point guard. I don't need the ball every play. And yesterday or the day before, Kyrie went 9 of 11 from 3. He put up some shots. He looked amazing. Harden got 16 assists the other day. Last night he got 12 assists. And it's not so much about the number being 12, but it's the way he's spreading the floor. It's the passing that he's doing. He's giving himself space when we know what he does when he's one-on-one. And then, by the way, there's Kevin Durant, who may be the best scorer that we've ever seen. He's a 7-foot monster. And then, here's Kyrie, who's now, settled into the shooting role. Again, isolated. Their biggest thing's been defense. They just signed Andre Roberson, who is one of the worst offensive players I've ever seen. However, he's a lockdown guard. So all of a sudden, these little things that were wrong, they've shared the ball around. They're starting to get better on defense. And yes, it's early days. And yes, it's the regular season. When it comes to playoffs, it's defense. You need to be better on defense. But all of a sudden, the Sixers are still rolling. We see what our boy Benny's been doing. He put up... And again, we've been talking about Benny Simmons and his stats and what they mean to the Sixers. He's been averaging 14 points a game and they don't lose. He puts up 42 goes off, and they lose a game. So again, stats can be misleading, but it's great to see we're seeing high scoring. We're seeing close scores. We're seeing people get high assists, high blocks.
Competitive basketball.
It's competitive basketball. It doesn't really mean anything, the numbers, but the quality is so high at the moment. You could put on NBA TV, you put on the game, you're going to get a good game of basketball. Absolutely,
Nikola Vucevic, he put on 42 against Sacramento in a win there for Orlando. Just a little thing I wanted to mention. The foreign big men, the foreign centers, absolutely dominating. We've spoken about Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. They're from Cameroon and Serbia, respectively. Vucevic is Montenegrin. Rudy Gobert is from France. Clint Capella's Swiss. Josef Nurkic, I think.
Nice. He might be Serbian as well.
Yeah. You don't want to get that wrong around that.
No, it's really. Kristaps as well. We're talking about big man. And it's that Euro... They respect the big game a bit more. I mean, we talk about the high scoring. It's get as many shooters on the floor as you can, score as quickly as you can. Now, when you get a 7-footer doing this stuff, now you're adding to the American game. You're building this in.
Yeah, and
there's still you've got Kyle Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis are your bigs, but these guys are your. I mean, there's really no such thing as your traditional center anymore. But these guys are the 7-footer who sit in the middle. They can block shots. They can post you up, and they can go out and kick it and shoot a three. I mean,
it just
apart
seems
from
like
Rubert or Capella, but
it just seems like their skills are becoming more and more silky. As big people, and
absolutely,
it's not like that big dumb idiot that's just there to get boards.
100%.
They're actually an offensive threat, whether it's from the perimeter or in the paint, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, exactly right. Just athletes going to work. It's great to see. Yeah,
this is an interesting one, and I know last week we were getting a little bit
to reality.
Daily News, Women's Weekly-esque.
It is wedding week, so we're allowed a couple more.
Let's do some gossip. Devin Booker, he had 36. Phoenix Suns get the win there against Philadelphia 76ers.
He dropped 2 in a row by the sounds of it.
This is an alleged starting 5 of Kendall Jenner's exes. So she's currently going out with Devin, and before that was Ben Simmons. So that's
good backcourt there. Yeah,
it's a good backcourt.
That's great. Then from I think we've got 6 guys total.
You got a player off the bench coming off here.
I think we've got a good team here. Jordan Clarkson,
who's put up career numbers this year. He's going up. He scored 40 the other day as well.
The 6th man here is going to be hard to pick. D'Angelo Russell, Kyle Kuzma, Blake Griffin. We don't have a true center. That's
again, we're in the modern game here. We can spread out. Blake can play
Blake's going to have to be the big man.
Yeah, but that's fine.
By the way, if you're not up to date with this is people that have fucked Kendall Jenner.
This is Kendall Jenner's body count. We're going through the body count.
No big men.
Cards on the table. No big men.
I think there is some really big men here.
Yeah, most of these blokes are big men.
All right, so I'm going Griffin. Griffin's going to be my center.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I don't like Ben Simmons as a point guard, so I'm not doing that. I'm going D'Angelo Russell is a point.
Yep.
I'm going Devin is
at the 2, yeah, shooting guard.
My 2.
Maybe Simmons at the small.
I think
Kuzma and Simmons is your forward.
Simmons gonna have to play power forward. I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then it's out of Clarkson and Kuzma. I know you're a Lakers fan. You'll probably go.
I'll start with Kuz and Clarkson. Obviously, old
excellent
Laker.
6 man.
Good on you, Kendall.
If this is like if we're being feminists and she fucked a lot of
power to her. Yeah,
good
she'd
on
make
her.
a great general manager.
Yeah.
Maybe team should look out for Kendall. She got an eye for talent. So
that's excellent. I think if Kendall, if you're listening. We maybe need a 7-footer here. Just take one.
Look for some size. A little bit more defense, I think, as well, Kendall. Someone scrappy. Matthew Dellavedova, single, I think.
Yeah. Shout out to Delhi if you're listening. And then let's just build around that. We need a few guys to play a few minutes.
A few role players,
Mate, that's an unbelievable team. Well
Might go European there, get some European style. But hey, this team could be anything.
Couldn't it?
Shout out to Kendall when now you're listening.
You know how we've been talking about we should get a little 1-minute clip to put on social media? I think that's
Bang, that was it. Open with that.
All right, run through the last lot.
Luka Doncic. Wow. Look at Donkey.
No.
Luka Doncic. You heard of him? He had 40 points twice this week.
He's been killing it this year.
Yeah, 44 in a loss against the Trailblazers.
Is this how long's he been in the league for?
I think this is
third year.
Third year.
Still
crazy. It's crazy.
He's crazy.
Some Luka talk. He's unbelievable. The Mavs, outside of him and Porzingis, seem to be a little bit.
How you
going? Be interesting to see how they go. The Denver Nuggets, they snapped the Los Angeles Lakers 7-game winning streak. We're talking about they won 3 in overtime last week.
Triple overtime game.
Nikola Jokic, triple dub. Mm-hmm. I know it's not
still keeping his average up.
Not a real start. He had 23, 16, and 10 in that. Also had 43 the next against the Celtics.
But again, I'm saying no. Put away your pass. Score more. He scores 43. They lose. So again, these numbers are numbers. That Good on you, Nicola, for being big and weird.
Do you think Jokic or Embiid could win the MVP as a center?
Embiid's got the record. They're not going to give it to a bloke who's on a team that's outside the playoffs or who's. I mean, Westbrook got it because he had the triple-double average, and that was. Oh my God, we can't believe.
Nuggets should make the playoffs.
They should make the playoffs, which might help. But if Embiid's if the Philly are the 1 seed and he keeps going the way he's going, then he might come second to LeBron. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Drew that.
Julius Randle, he cost our punters club big time. Shout out to Daniel Beaumont. Put on this bet. I think he needed 38 combined points and boards out of Julius. Didn't get it the game before this. Then he goes out and scores 44 against the Hawks.
Real dick move, Julius.
The question I had out of this is, are the Knicks okay? Like they're 3-1 in this last week.
They're better than they have been.
They've been at 500 all year.
That said, that in the last week they've beaten the Hawks, Rockets, Wizards. Probably, the Hawks should be a playoff team. I don't think those other two
maybe not so
will
much.
be. They're 14-16. They're below 500, but they are 6th in the East.
Yeah, they've been at 500 pretty much all year. They haven't gone too high. They haven't gone too low. Randall's numbers have been awesome. They've clearly said, you're our man and we're going to build around you. It's kind of hard. Like if you're 6th in the East, the Knicks are a different brand because we know if the Knicks are playing playoffs, if Madison Square Garden's packed, basketball's a lot better for that. Mm-hmm. But are you better off coming 6th in the East, finishing 2 games for under 500, getting swept, or are you better finishing 3rd last and getting a good draft pick? Like that, and that's what current sport is right now.
You saying we should tank?
Exactly. But they've been doing it for 10 years.
And where's it gotten them?
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe it's, all right, let's scrap together a team. Let's just win some basketball. It seems to be the current mood for teams. It's just, let's just try and win and do our best to win games. Whereas, I don't know, the way it's been going, you don't want to be the 8th seed. No. Because you don't actually benefit that. You don't get a lottery pick.
Situation generally.
Yeah. So, again, Knicks being good is cool because I've never been alive when New York basketball's been relevant. So if the Knicks and the Nets are playing playoffs, that'd be pretty cool.
For the record, New York Knicks have not made the playoffs in 8 years. That's pretty amazing considering
shit the East has been.
Yeah, how shit the East has been, and over 50% of the teams have the ability to make the playoffs in the NBA.
And again, if you're going to tank, that means naturally you're going to come around. Like, look at Philadelphia now at the top of their game. They tanked. Yeah. They still bombed a couple draft picks somehow. They're at the top now. Lakers sucked, gathered pieces, traded Anthony Davis. So that's how parity works.
It's not that long ago that the Lakers were a fucking laughing
basket case. Yeah, 100%. But you suffer through that as a fan, hoping that you come on the other side. And if you're a big franchise like the Lakers, that happens. The Knicks are the biggest franchise. It just hasn't happened. I don't think they've won a playoff series since the 90s.
It's been a long time.
And they are the most loyal, the most hard. Like New York sports fans are the best because they will stick by their fan side, but no matter what. And they'll be the loudest cheers and the loudest cheers.
I love my fucking Yankees. I love my fucking Nets.
Go Yanks.
That's a bit off, but you get the idea.
You would. As we drag on.
Go Rangers.
I think that finishes up the NBA chat for the week. I think we covered the...
On Luca's second season in the NBA.
Second season, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
He was a rookie
Jimmy,
sorry,
Jimmy. Jimmy the sad man.
Wait, 2019 was his rookie season.
18, 19.
This is his third. Yeah.
So this is his third. Sorry.
Yeah.
So he played 19. He's played 2020. This is 2021. This is his third season.
Yeah.
Well, we've proved Jimmy's human. We've proved he's human. The first mistake he's made on the Esky. There you go.
He's not a simulation.
I don't think it's my first.
Obviously, over there it runs through the winter time and into fall. It's akin to an Australian cricket season where it takes 2 years.
Yeah.
But unbelievable, a third-year player to be putting up the numbers.
Yeah, he wouldn't have played 200 games yet. Which again, game numbers in American sport is miscued, but that's the reality of how this guy's like an NBA, like my NBA player on 2K. Like you create him and you boost all his stats up, and he's just really good. And he's 23. Like, no, he's a human being. Allegedly.
21.
Allegedly,
he's 21 years old.
You joke?
Fuck you, Luca.
One year at college, straight out into the system in 19. That's bananas.
Speaking of 21-year-olds, how about the world of baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. He's 22. He turned 22 like a month ago.
Yeah. So, how do you say his last name?
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh, not bad.
He just reached a ginormous deal, and I thought we'd cover this because it's huge money. There's, I think MLB's in the middle of kind of their free agency, I think, because of the last...
No, it's like their preseason. Their season runs like our footy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but the last, say, month, there's been a ridiculous amount of movements and money, trades. There's been heaps happening. We just, of course, haven't been covering it with everything else that's been going on, especially in the cricket world. But I thought this one was cool because, he's just signed a $340 million deal for the next 14 years.
That's a crazy amount
and
of
that's
time to sign a contract for, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they've reached agreement, so I think he's got to officially sign it, but it sounds like it's all going to happen.
It's happening in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, and... that's an extension. I think he's staying where he's at.
Yeah, the way MLB and I'll try and do this as quickly as possible. The way baseball contracts work, the day you debut for your team, the team pretty much owns you or owns your rights for, and it's their collective bargaining agreement. It's the biggest stitch up. The players have fucked themselves. It's for 8 years.
Oh, God.
So the
Longer
day you
than most
debut,
managers.
exactly, the day you debut, the team then owns your rights. So at the end of every season, you essentially sign a 1-year deal on the minimum.
Okay. Yeah.
So players want to. There's college baseball is nothing because players don't want to play college baseball. They want to debut at 18. So at 26, you're free and you sign the big deal. That's when you go and get paid. With deals like these are becoming a bit more common because players. Fernando Tatis he's the face of baseball right now. He is so exciting. He hits the longest bombs. He's flair. He's got the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
He flips the bat. He talks shit to the pitcher, which is baseball is all old and traditional. He's in the face. So the young crowd love this guy. He's so fun to watch. He hits the ball out like 180 kilometers per hour. Like it's hard. I'm not great at translating, but his exit velocity is insane. He is flair, so he doesn't want to be paid $500,000 a year for the next 8 years. So the Padres say, okay, because they know as soon as he turns 26, he was going to sign a 10-year, $500 million deal. Like this is the money baseball deals in. So instead of that, we'll sign you a 14-year deal, which is just preposterous to anyone who doesn't follow me.
Until he's 36.
So instead of having that 8-year control, he now has 14. But really, they go, oh, we've saved money because that's 6 years. We get an extra 6 years out of it.
Mil
and that was the other thing. California state tax, the deal's worth like $160 million, which again, you poor bastard, you only get paid that much.
Yeah.
But
that's still 12 mil a year after tax.
Yeah. Like, fuck you. He literally just turned 22. And like Mike Trout signed, I think it was last year or the year before.
10 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 12 years, $500 million. Like that's $500 million. That's how you equate that. So the players have fucked themselves by agreeing to this collective bargaining agreement because then you're on a team. Like, oh, good, I've got 8 years of control. But now these deals are becoming more common to young players. And when like, he's going to be good for 20 years. So they say... We're getting an extra 6 years out of him. That's the easiest way to sort of equate that. But $340 million, like that's
so much
money.
Crazy. And they signed Manny Machado last year, who's they're both third baseman, shortstop, and to like I think it was a 10-year, $300 million deal. So their left side of their infield, that's $600 million.
Crazy.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
They're in the same division as the Dodgers, so not just the same conference, the same division. So they play each other 15 times a year, and the Dodgers, their bankroll is they've just over the luxury tax. So I think it's $220 million a year. That's what the Dodgers pay their team. So San Diego have a couple of rich owners, and they're going head to head. So it's again, I don't know how many baseball fans we have on the Esky here, but it's actually pretty cool to see this going on.
Statistics and numbers wise, like it's
it's
such an interesting
story. It's insane. Imagine Harry Grant signing a 14-year deal. You'd go, that's crazy. Why would you do that to your team? But it's becoming the norm. When we're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars.
We talk about Patty Mahomes signing his $10 million deal.
Yeah.
How long did Tamalolo sign for? 9 years.
I think it was 9. Yeah.
You could be right. Yeah.
Buddy Franklin was a 9.
And that's in a contact sport as well. So this is 5 years on top of that.
And the topper with baseball, every cent is guaranteed.
Yeah.
So football, there's those, they can cut you early and there's clauses.
Yeah.
Whereas baseball,
that sort of stuff.
there is every cent is guaranteed. So he might play 2 years, be shit, and he's set for life. Because they do. Sorry, I'll do this really quickly. There's this guy who played for the Mets in like the 80s. I think his last name is Bonilla, and they signed him to this big deal, and then he was shit. So they went, we have to pay him this money. So they extended the contract. It was something like $30 million. So instead of paying this guy $30 million, they made the contract like 60 years long and pay him. So on the 1st of July every year, he gets like $500,000. Like he hasn't played baseball for 20 years, but every 1st of July, he gets this big payday. And it's like running up now. It's something hilarious. Like this is baseball because it's private owned. Again, American sport, there's private owners. Someone owns the Dodgers and he's paying that out of his own pocket. Well, I mean, essentially. So
they're probably making revenue and profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's still funny.
Yeah, it's insane. Insane to see.
So the other little note is a bit of a crossover. Tim Tebow, who was with the Nets as I think it's about to die. It's all right. He's officially retired from professional baseball.
Was he playing?
In other news, he's playing professional baseball.
Was he playing at all with the Mets?
Minor leagues.
He was in the
minor leagues, and he's been with them for 5 years, I think.
So he's been that long, but
it's been quite a while actually.
Yeah, right.
Because Peyton took over the Broncos in 2013, and that was the year he left and then went to baseball.
Yeah,
so he's
8 years in baseball.
So he did a few years, I think, on and off. Well, he did the Denver Jets, and I think he was a Patriots Jets somewhere else. So he finished up around that 2015 kind of season. So since then,
Philly as well.
Philly, there you go, another one. So since then, he's tried his hand at baseball. Didn't do too bad in the minors, but never good enough to make it in the majors. And he does a lot more commentary work on college football, and they absolutely.
He's a very good. He's a top 10 college player of all time. Like his numbers, absolutely. So he like, who else would you want to have on your panel?
He won 2 natties with.
He was that back to back. Yeah, he was that back to back Heisman, runner up in a Heisman, like all time runner, and he's just one of those that doesn't translate to pros, and then tried playing baseball, which is a credit to his athleticism. But
it's unbelievable.
His talent.
Again, you get paid $340 million because you can hit a fast. Like that is the hardest thing to do in the world sport. Hit a fastball. Like that is hand-eye. So, but credit to him, he didn't try it and I can't do this. Fuck it off. Like he had a couple of years. I'm going to try and grind through the minors and try and get there, but.
I think his best year, his batting average was 270.
That's not bad.
That's good.
So,
minor, you're not making any teams, but
no, of course, but for a guy that's took it kind of transitioned in sports and took it on.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's not Deion Sanders, it's not Bo Jackson, but had a crack, failed. Good on him.
Golf news. We talked a little bit about Pebble Beach kicking off.
Pebble Beach had just gotten underway. I think Patrick Cantlay got out to a really good start.
Yes, of course.
I think he was
and we said that usually whoever's first on day one never wins. So
it's I'd hate to say the stats, but obviously a lot of guys in the tournament, if you're leading on day one, it doesn't really mean that much. He was 10 under. Daniel Berger, he finishes with 18 under, 27-year-old Yank. I think this was his 4th PGA win. I don't know if you guys saw the 18th hole. He eagled, so he put it on green regulation and then just made this absolute monster putt.
Finished 7 under for that round. So.
Yeah, to seal the victory ahead of Max McNeely and Patrick Cantlay, who we said had that early lead. Jordan Spieth, he's there and thereabouts again. He finished 4th the week before in Phoenix.
Tied 3rd, yeah. So Cantlay was 10 under after the first course record, finishes 15 under with a 4 under on the last day. So he's the second and third day.
Yeah, those 2 middle days.
Absolutely cooked him. Spieth had a pretty good tournament. 7 under for the first, 7 under for the first, and 2 under. 2 under, 2 under. No, 2 under, 3 under, 2 under. So
he's coming back, Jordan.
it's good to see. Yeah, like we said, he's still young as anything.
He's 27.
He's got golf.
He's younger than everyone here.
Yeah. And Tiger Woods won a Masters at 44, 45.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. And
he's got 20 years in golf.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose for him, he's probably in his own head a little bit thinking,
it's a mental game.
I won these 2 majors as a 23-year-old and, it has dropped off, I guess, a little bit over the last few years. He's an excellent golfer. He'll be there. I think with Jordan, it's always been about the consistency, about putting in 4 good days of golf. It's good to see him there competing. I think he'll be fine. Coming into the Genesis this week, which is it's actually worth more points than most of the other tournaments, formerly known as the Los Angeles Open. It's pretty much the premier event in Los Angeles at the Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles.
It starts tonight, so
so Thursday night in Australia here, it probably will start middle of the night our time.
First tee off's at 20-2, so all the big names are playing. Just scrolling through them now.
We'll keep an eye on that. I think Adam Scott actually won it last year.
He's going again. Yeah, all the big names are here, so Spieth's backing up again. It's good to see. It's good to see good golf tournaments coming back. Again, COVID destroyed... Oh, wow, that was aggressive. COVID destroyed stuff like golf. Like you don't remember missing golf, but you go, oh, sick, there's a golf tournament on every week. And the Genesis is on. Like, this is brilliant. All these great players are playing. So building into the Masters, which is slowly coming, that's, it's always on the horizon. Even when they play the Masters, the Masters is next year, what's going to happen. So, really excited to see the Genesis unfold this weekend.
So fighting. UFC next. I think I'll
golf to fighting.
Golf to fighting. That's our favourite segue. I think I'll cover this pretty quick. We talked a little bit about Conor versus Dustin doing the trilogy. Looks like this is what is going to happen, and they're going to book this for the summer, which will be say May, June. So
not that quick.
Yeah, so it'll be the middle of the year towards maybe after spring break. That kind of we're talking American summer. This is so that looks like it's going to happen, which it will be interesting to see what happens in the lightweight division going forward. The main card we talked about last week was UFC 258. The 4 fights leading into the main card all were by decisions. Decent fights, but nothing major to talk about or to take home out of that. A few upsets, of course. But the fight that was carrying this card, the entire card, was the Usman versus Burns fight. And it definitely delivered. It was great fight to start with. Burns rocks Usman in the first, throwing bombs. But then Usman works his jab back into it in the second and then just slowly works him down until Burns just couldn't stay with it. Very strong straight jab, puts him down, and then Usman finishes off. The fight's done. It was, Burns was devastated by that point, by the end, because of it. So, their former teammates, you work together a lot. Burns definitely was devastated. He cried a bit. Usman kind of sort of teared up a little bit because of that. But, he was gassed. He was super happy about the win. He put some respect on his name. Respect me now. Be interesting to see what happens in the welterweight division going forward. Looks like George Masvidal might be the next one to do that.
He called him out at the end after the fight.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what George can do with a full fight camp versus the 8-day turnaround that he had for the first one.
Well, that's what he was saying, wasn't he? Saying, I'm not going to let him have a bitch and say, I only had a week to turn around, have a full fight camp, and I'll still beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
The quote is, I'm going to put him in a coffin this time.
I wish I had the ability to back that up. If I said that, I couldn't say that sentence out loud without laughing at myself.
I think Burns proved that Usman's hittable. I was a little bit concerned about his defense early on in that first round, but I'm not sure Masvidal has, say, the punching power that Burns does, but he definitely has the finishing power through other means. So interesting fight. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see when that's get booked and when that happens. We'll cover UFC 259 when we get closer to it because it's still 2 weeks away. That, of course, is a massive card, and we're already 3 hours deep, so we'll get to that at another time.
Did you guys see the embrace between Kamara Usman?
They're still
Gilbert
close,
Burns?
even though they're not team partners anymore.
So much respect. Yeah. So much respect. So I think I've got Gilbert's Instagram up here. It's essentially them embracing after the fight, and Gilbert says, definitely not my night. Felt very good. The best preparation I ever had. I got overexcited and I made some mistakes. Congrats to the champion. So much respect for you. Thanks for making me a better fighter. I'm still very hungry.
Yeah,
it's so nice to watch guys wail on each other and then have that kind of respect afterwards. It kind of, I don't know. It transcends the sport, doesn't it? When guys can have that physical aggression against each other and then straight afterwards,
it's sportsmanship.
Have that respect.
Yeah.
Mate, I don't have that sportsmanship when I'm playing on Sunday social cricket.
But that's because you're a roughie.
I don't talk about my sportsmanship.
Joseph possibly could be a little bit more ruthless than I am in Sunday social cricket.
Hey, the Yams have lost one game all year. That ruthlessness is a part of it.
March 7 semi-final, get down to the Yam Yard. Unbelievable. I just got to respect these guys so much for watching them go out and fucking bang, and then
well, it's different because you're fighting a bloke, so you earn the respect from that war that you both go through. So.
Well, to build up that aggression before the fight, and then just to kind of switch that off afterwards.
And it's over.
It's all done.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, and it's nice to see.
Yeah. So I think we've got soccer first, and then we'll wrap up with the Australian Open to finish this off for the podcast. You boys want to run through some soccer? Well, I take a quick pee break.
You go out for a little wee.
Champions League is back, baby.
Champions League is back. The champions.
And we're back. We're good. We're rolling along here on the Esky. Obviously, game of the week was billed as PSG Barcelona in Spain. So I think everyone was leaning on Barcelona to sort of take care of business here. And boy, were they wrong.
Indeed.
Yeah.
They held possession. They had 53% of the ball. Didn't translate into attack on the goal. Barca had 12 shots. 4 on target, 16 for PSG, 9 on target.
That's ruthless.
Messi had the pen that got Barca up 1-0.
Did you see the challenge?
Yes, very soft.
Yeah. I mean, watching live, looked like he went down. And we were watching at school before the kids came, and we had the sound off, and we thought, VAR is going to kick in any moment now. And then Messi's buried the penalty going, they've actually given it. I thought it was just the most incidental. Like he fell over, but
essentially Frankie De Jong. There was a little chip put into him on the right side, attacker's right side, and he was nowhere near the ball. And it was missing him anyway. He was never going to control it. He just sort of at best he got his feet tangled.
At
worst, he
incidental.
Took a big dive.
I thought that.
Very soft penalty. I thought to open the scoring. PSG.
All PSG from that point on, pretty much.
I just want to touch on the fact that I think they were lucky that Idris Gueye didn't get that second yellow in the first half. There was more than enough evidence to send him for the second slice of cheese after his second challenge there. Pochettino pulled him off at the half, and from there it was just PSG fucking landslide. Kylian Mbappe hat-trick. Moise Kean, he had the other goal in that header off of the free kick. He's a Ghanaian Italian. He's eligible to play for Italy. Young guy to keep an eye on. Mbappe's goals, just clinical in his finishing. That first goal.
The touch. Comes in, brings it down.
He weaved in between like 3 defenders, put it away. Absolutely clinical finishing. Second and third, I thought it was more of him being in the right place at the right time. The finish was, especially that third goal.
Yeah. That was neat. But you got to be there.
Right, top right, that's FIFA finesse.
Yeah.
Just bang.
You got to be there. Like this guy is so young, and he's so he's on the same pitch as Messi, and people criticize Messi in this game. He was slow. He turned over the ball a couple times. And at the other end, Mbappe is weaving in between people. He's one-touch scoring, and it's we were talking last week about all the tension building. Is Messi done? And Mbappe is just overflowing with he's who everyone loves to watch.
He looked a a step quicker than anyone else.
Everyone, yeah. He looked like he was playing a different game. Like he was running around, hitting gaps. Like his touch is so clean. And this talks. His old man and Klopp went to school together, or they're good friends. Yeah, there's something silly there that Liverpool fans love to bring up, and they will.
Hey,
and they have their fingers
he's not
crossed.
coming anytime soon.
He won't be going there. If he's going anywhere, they're getting rid of Messi, and they're going to pay him that $800 million. So, we've had this Ronaldo Messi debate for 15 years, which has just been awesome for soccer. But he's the future, which is very exciting to see. And France are just stacked to the nine. So
indeed,
we've got up there. PSG have never won a Champions League, so I think he's the one to say, I'm going to be the one who brings the Champions League to PSG.
Well, this game was at the Camp Nou.
The new camp.
So they go back to Paris. They can't butcher this.
A 3-away goal lead.
The curse.
Where's Rohit Sharma tuning?
At Rohit Sharma, at Rishabh Pant, at West Indian cricketers.
No, I'm with you, Peps. Like they're quite equal on paper. Like on paper, you'd probably give the edge to Barcelona, but that was one of the more dominant performances. And even you read through the stats, 9 shots on target to 4. Again, without that pen, Barcelona didn't have a real opportunity that I thought, that they're pressing here.
I think a big lapse from Barcelona, a big stain, and hats off to the guy, accomplished footballer. Gerard Piqué looked out of sorts in this game. It was his first game back in nearly 2 months. I was watching a little bit of the ESPN soccer wrap up, and they were saying if he wanted to test his fitness, test it against Alaves.
Don't do it against Mbappe running around in that full flight.
Do it in La Liga against some shit house team and see if he's got some run in his legs. He just looked like...
He'd be up. Jimmy will tell us how old he is, Gerard Piqué.
Gerard Piqué. His missus.
The marvelous... Waka waka hey.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a Pico go mad.
Pepe's going off here. He's getting married in a couple of days. Thinking of Shakira. So I don't care how old and slow he looks. He's doing it where it matters. So
that's true.
34 years old.
Yeah, right. I thought it was a little bit more.
Yeah, not that old.
Another United one that got away.
When you're chasing Kylian Mbappe, you look slow regardless.
True, exactly right. But you're right, Peps, and they were pretty hard throughout the week on him. Like again, you need someone to pull it on. It's Messi and it's Piqué, probably rightfully so, because they get the praise when they go up really well. They're going to get on the way back. So PSG with a. I'm not going to say unsurmountable because I've jinxed everyone I've ever talked about on the Esky here.
They should not lose this leg given that start. There was 3 games this week outside of PSG and Barcelona. The Liverpool team goes to the Puskas Arena in Leipzig.
Leipzig
In Germany there. They get the 2-0 win. I think Salah had one.
Off a stinky turnover as well. It was just a back pass that went wrong, and Salah, he's too clinical. Liverpool dominated that game the whole time. That's, and they
to talk about. They'll go back to Anfield, and again, don't want to put their jinx on them.
I do. Liverpool are going to win this 5-0. Liverpool are the best team ever, and they're never going to lose again.
Should not have any dramas advancing to the next round there. This one was a little bit interesting. Porto and Juventus in Portugal. Porto get the win 2-1.
Did Ronaldo play? I missed this one completely, so I'm going to have to defer to everyone else here. But
look at Porto Juventus.
I had the Dortmund game on. Maybe I'll just fluff about that. That was an elite game of soccer. Sevilla scored first. Dortmund put 3 on. Then Sevilla scored again, and they were pressing. Dortmund just never seemed to play boring football. Like they just have good young players all the time, and they eventually just signed for Munich. But they just play quick. They move it. They're a lot of fun to watch. So that was a good game. But again, 3 goals in Spain. That's a great lead to have going back home.
3 away goals. You'd think Borussia should be able to clinch that when the return leg heads back to Germany.
Did you find out if Ronaldo played for Juventus in this one?
Bringing it up.
Looks
like he was
in
on
or
the
out?
field.
In the field? Okay.
You keep having a look there. Obviously, the other side of the draw will be played next week.
So the next round of
yeah, so we can have a look at that on the Esky.
On the Esky, we will. I mean, like we say, the Champions League, we were worried, was it going to go ahead? Was COVID going to fuck us with this, with Europe being the way it is? But stoked to have it. No crowd noise for a couple of these games. Made it very, very awkward for mine. I didn't like it one bit, but we'll see how it is. Obviously, Chelsea, Atletico on the other side, Lazio and Bayern, Real Madrid, Atalanta, Man City versus Mönchengladbach. So you'd imagine.
I think there's a few big clubs there that should.
Yeah, City, Madrid,
like
Munich,
City, Madrid. Yeah,
Madrid, Atletico, Chelsea, maybe.
That's a close one. Who's playing Atalanta?
Bayern. Oh no, sorry, Madrid.
And who's Bayern playing?
Lazio. So
I think 3 of those you'd think.
Well, let's hope we've got an upset to talk about this time.
Atalanta. Can Atalanta win the UEFA Champions League? I'd love to be talking about that.
We're gonna ride Atalanta all the way here on the Esky. So give us a sponsorship.
What town are they from? I have asked you this before.
Oh, we've done it.
I have. It's not a town called Atalanta. It is an Italian town.
One syllable.
Wow.
Jeez, Jimmy is going to burn those fingers off there.
Yeah, I believe it starts with B, perhaps.
I reckon it's one syllable.
Bergamo? Are they from Bergamo?
That's 2 syllables. That's not that one.
I think they might be from. It's not. It's obviously not a.
Jimmy, what did you find?
He's not bad. Bergamo. He's not bad at all. Jeez, Pepsi.
Italy.
From Bergamo.
Bergamo, Lombardi.
He knows he's Italian.
He knows his geography is what he knows. Very good. So that was the week in the soccer. Obviously, no EPL action with the Champions League on.
Yes.
There we go. It's good. Yeah, like we said, good to have Champions Leagues back.
Let's get stuck into our favourite sport, tennis.
Yes, let's finish up with the Australian Open. So finishing off where we were last podcast, Kyrgios did lose that game to TM. Of course,
Kyrgios won the first 2.
Lost the last 3.
Great match. Like
it was an excellent match.
I was distracted so last week because we had it on live here, and I blanked for 5 or so minutes just watching the rallies. They were just big hitters. They're both big hitters, and TM. That was before the lockdown, so
they
not full, half full Rod Laver. Obviously, everyone
looked a bit
in
more full than half. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they can allow 25,000 in there. Yeah. Where they choose to go is up to them. They're obviously all on Kyrgios. For TM to be down 2 sets, have the whole crowd against him, and pull that off. There's a reason there's a 3 next to his name down the bottom of the scoreboard. So that's a complete testament to him. It definitely cooked him that game. Obviously, he was completely spent, but that's a win.
He lost in the next round, of course.
That's a win he can hang up and he can talk about going
It's
forward.
interesting we talk about fans because started after that match, and went a bit longer, was Djokovic's match to that night. It went past midnight, but right at midnight they booted all the fans out because they had to adhere to the lockdown. So as part of that, they had 11:59. They said, everyone, you got to go home.
It's fucking fair enough.
Yeah, it was, but I don't think the fans were happy. And it was kind of odd because Djokovic, I don't think, was struggling, but you could see the difference. He wasn't happy with the crowd noise, and then they all buggered off, and there was just him. There was no one left there to watch it, and it was such a different outcome.
It's just a sign of the times we're in, where everyone's got to pack up and go home. Sorry,
but
that's the world sport. We love it. We put sport above everything, but
So then, for the Aussies, the last one was the Demon. He got knocked out as well. So all the Aussies in the men's side of the draw were knocked out by this point.
Yeah, I believe that was the day after we broadcast.
The day after we broadcast.
Yeah.
So Ash Barty made it into the quarters, but then she got knocked out as well.
Very disappointing, this one.
She was dominant up to the point where
the first set she looked so, and she has all tournaments.
She won 6-1.
Yeah,
really put her away.
Very dominant.
All tournaments she had it, and then 2-1 up in the second. This shits me so. This is why tennis,
it's probably the worst thing in tennis.
An individual sport gets just so hacked on because, and you're right, it's tennis. So this girl, which one was it?
Muchova.
Muchova. She was getting absolutely pantsed, and she stopped. Do you know what she said when she went off the injury timeout? I'm feeling faint. I'm feeling quite faint. And so she stopped.
Fucked.
She stopped, and she got what looked like ice. Like I'm pretty sure she just got an ice pack. It was the 6-year-old coming up to me on my recess duty saying, I'm not feeling well. I'll go get an ice pack. And then all of a sudden they're out running around 15 minutes later. Oh, that magic bit of frozen water.
I think she went off for about 9 minutes. Probably composed herself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Took the we're talking about medical timeouts here. So she took a medical timeout, composed herself, came back out, and then wins the match. Like the complete turning point. Barty's sitting there, losing her momentum, cooling down. And then, of course, couldn't restart it after that. And
absolutely
went on to lose it.
And we can't 100%, blame her for doing that. I mean, Barty's got a
significant turning point.
Oh, yeah. Barty wins that within 20 minutes. But, I mean, like Barty, she lost 12 of the next 15 games.
I mean, Barty got the same amount of rest.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
100%, but exactly right. So we can't 100% say, she went off that she completely lost it. Yeah. Ash has to put her hand up and say, I'm the number one player in the world. I'm playing at home. You put that away. She wants to go off. You go, she's going off because I'm putting her off. You need to just...
Exactly. But I think...
12 of the next 15 games.
I think the point, though, was, the flow, the momentum. She had it all. It's going her way. And then that's completely changed. But, yes, like you say, she needs to come back out and turn it on, which might lead to kind of our point on crowds. Maybe... This is the bit where kind of affected her. She couldn't come back out. There was no one there to gee her up to get her back in. She's gone. She's had the high, maybe a bit of the adrenaline drop. Probably very tactical. Let's take the medical time out now I need to break this flow. I know she's so dominant. She's in her zone. Let's get her out of the zone. And then, hopefully she can't get back in it. And that was the case. So, yeah. But
I mean, credit to her. Machova goes down in the next round. But again, when that restart happens again, what are the crowd going to do? Get behind Barty, and then you're lifted, obviously. But she was 6-1 up without the crowd. So she could 100%.
Should have done better.
You're the number one player in the world. You don't need people clapping you to do better. So, we're so proud of Ash. She did such a good job.
100%.
If that was Kyrgios... Oh my God, he blew that. How can you blow that? So
if it's Tomic, we're talking about tanking.
Headline.
So.
Exactly right. It's like, poor Ash, she gave it her best, and that damn Muchova put that match, injury time out. Ash has to stick her hand up. She's got to wear that, and because we're so frustrated. I don't know if she'll ever have a better chance to win an AusOpen.
She's 24 years old. I hope
she's back next year, but we see like Naomi Osaka's back to full fitness. She's flying. Williams on the way out, that helps, but she's still, making semi-finals at 39.
There's women coming through. There's still talent.
There's a 15-year-old in Russia just hitting balls against the wall that's coming, it's always coming. So when you're in that spot, when you're up.
We talk about the window. You're in your window.
Exactly. Houston Texans were up 24-0 against Kansas City Chiefs. And they've lost JJ Watt and Deshaun Watson 18 months later. You have your window. You've just got to capitalize. That's it. Hit the point. Hit it then.
It's interesting.
But Machova did the same thing. She went, this is my moment. I'm going to capitalize.
Yeah, and she took it.
And then she lost the next round.
So before the medical timeout, Barty had 7 winners, 7 unforced errors. Machova had 1 winner, 18 unforced errors. After the medical timeout, Barty had 7 winners, 15 unforced errors. Machova had 8 winners and 4 unforced errors.
She had 4 errors coming back out in 2 sets. That's wild. And
compared to the 18 she
again,
had before.
credit God, you've got to give credit to Machova. I mean, she's manipulated the rules. I'm a salty Australian, so of course I'm going to say that was bullshit. And it is, because you see it, you get played. There should be, but there's no way you can police it. There's no way someone can go, you're fine, go. Because then what if she does collapse? Then you're fucked.
Yeah.
But it's just whatever. Yeah. Again, it's that individual sport. It's the pressure on. It's, it's mind game. It's more mind than physical, because they can all hit it back. Look, they're just hitting back to each other. Yeah. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's just that easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to watch from here. I've had 7 beers, so get me a racket. Peps, let's go.
Go down to the courts.
To wrap up the men's division, Nadal got beaten by Tsitsipas.
Last
night, a great match.
Yeah.
So Tsitsipas, I think he's number 5 in the seeding for this.
Yeah, he's 5.
Djokovic has just won his semi, so Djokovic is in the final. Did it easy. Did it straight sets, unfortunately.
Shout out to Aslan Karastev. He was qualifier.
Yep.
His first ever Grand Slam.
Ranked 114 in the world.
Yeah, ranked outside the top 100. So for him to make a semi-final is unbelievable. He's also 27. He's no spring chicken.
No.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think his career prize money is under $1 million.
Yeah.
So
Tsitsipas is first seeing Medvedev.
I will say
Medvedev is a short favourite in this.
I will.
4 versus 5, and 1, of course, being
if our unofficial sponsors over there at Sportsbet are paying any attention, if I was to have a little punty la tomorrow, Tsitsipas might be interesting at $3 something.
Well, Tsitsipas, that match against Nadal was wild. Nadal was up 2 sets to love, and it was 6-all, 5-all in the tiebreaker. And then Tsitsipas won the tiebreaker, won the next 2 sets. Like, that's TM coming back. Like, he's literally on the brink. He's nearly at match point there, Tsitsipas.
And against
and
Nadal as well. So
I will toot my own horn last week or the week before on the Esky.
You've been back in Tsitsipas.
The people I back were Tsitsipas, Medvedev, and TM. So Zverev was in there as well. He had
2
a
out
pretty
of
good
3.
tournament. So
Tsitsipas currently $2.96 on Sportsbet.
Put that in with the Colts and the Dolphins to win the divisions, and you're looking
Free
juicy
money.
there.
Free
Yeah, that's
money.
on the Esky bet.
Hope your printer's working.
So in the women's side, Osaka had just knocked out Williams, so she's through to the final.
Pumped that too.
No equaling Margaret Court's 24 Grand Slams in this tournament.
Yeah.
Serena obviously on 23.
And it got dominated too. I don't. Well, maybe not dominance the right word, but
no, she was. No, the match it was.
Naomi really had the wood on her.
You'd
think probably Naomi has the edge over the 22nd seed Jennifer Brady.
Yeah, so Brady won her semi-final and is through to the final. So they're the two.
You can't question Serena's greatness. But obviously a little bit of history between these two. The first time Naomi beat her, I think it was the US Open, was sort of Serena was making it all about herself.
That massive meltdown she had, and you saw Osaka accepting. She felt bad about winning her first Grand Slam.
Naomi was tearing up as a 19-year-old Grand Slam winner and playing against her idol.
She said pre-game, she said, I get nervous playing Serena every time. Like I grew up worshipping this person and I have to play against her. I have to try and beat her. And again, this is why we hate tennis players. And, Serena Williams, greatest tennis player of all time, perhaps. But the way she acts on the court and off the court, like Naomi Osaka couldn't celebrate her first Grand Slam because her idol was behaving like a fucking child. So
don't meet your heroes.
Well, there you go.
Don't meet your heroes. That's what they say.
So to finish off the last point, so the Melbourne lockdown has ended, so they now have 50% crowds back at the tennis. So there will be people in for the finals. But it was quite interesting to see such difference from, say, the Kyrgios match and going to the next day's matches where there's absolutely no one there. There's no atmosphere. Like it's such a different way to watch tennis.
It takes away from it, doesn't it?
It really does. Like it adds such an extra element where, especially with Kyrgios being a showman, as the example, like it's such a different spectacle versus them just hitting a tennis ball back and forth.
Honestly, and then it's the end of the game. It takes all the air out. And again, we say it every January rolls around. We get into it. We stay up late. We put a bet on someone we've never heard before because we saw him play. Like it's great. But that's just the good thing about the AusOpen. But I don't know. This year, obviously, like most things, just doesn't feel the same. Doesn't feel right. So
I've just seen my first Super Rugby ad for Stan.
Yep, Stan Sports. So it looks like you're still going to have to pay to watch the rugby.
Anyway, the last story to finish up, Dylan Alcock wins his 7th straight Australian Open to take it to 12 Grand Slams. I just wanted to give Dylan a shout out for his effort and his work.
Unbelievable.
So,
dude, you seen the size of that bloke's shoulders?
Yeah, he's an absolute weapon on the tennis court.
A little bit of chat. He's sometimes on Triple J.
Great commentator. Does a lot of great work around. So
shout out to Dylan. Well done, boys. We got through it.
Yes. So I think that finishes up. Nearly covered cricket.
Yeah.
What do we cover after cricket? The domestic sports, NRL, AFL, then NFL, NBA, soccer, UFC.
A little bit
tennis.
of everything.
A little bit of everything. Even some MLB for a change. No NHL, of course.
No,
but
obviously.
we're still growing in that sport.
Full disclosure, we have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to baseball and hockey.
Right.
Outside of that, we we think we got a reasonable idea. Just a reminder, we've got an Instagram. If anyone is watching and wants to follow that on the Esky on Instagram,
jump in, subscribe
on YouTube.
Channel. Follow us, and more of this content coming your way every week.
Thanks, boys.
We're working on an OnlyFans as well, so
Macca's OnlyFans. There we go.
That might take off.
Good luck to Pepsi this weekend getting married.
Yeah, thank you, boys. It's funny talking to the old boys down at the footy club or wherever. I say, I'm getting married. Why the fuck are you doing that? It's the same response all the time. But
hey, you got to make that mistake once. So
yeah, well,
hopefully only once.
I tell you what, not that I've done any of it, but planning a wedding can suck my ass. So I don't want to do it twice. So I might just do it once, and that's that. And yeah. Shout out to Sarah if you're 3 hours.
Which she will be because she's a queen and she'll be a marvellous Mrs. Fazzulo.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll chat soon. We'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Good chat.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.